Okay, I'd like to call to order the Bolton Conservation Commission meeting April 29th at 7 PM at the Houghton Building. I'd like to take a roll call. Robert Cohen.
Jim Stone.
Maria Berman. Lori Stevenson.
Carol Gumbart.
Okay, and our first order of business is public hearing under the Mass Wetland Protections Law, Rankin RCR Holdings LLC, 1141 Main Street.
Hi.
And you are?
I'm Mark Farrell, Green Hill Engineering. I'm representing the company who owns the property.
Okay.
Spell that again. Farrell?
Mark Farrell.
F-A-R-R?
F-A-R-R-E-L-L.
From Green.
Green Hill Engineering.
Welcome.
Thank you. When's spring coming?
We had it last week for 2 days.
We did,
so-
yeah, it was a couple of days. It was cold
Yeah,
today
yeah.
out there. Broke off. Basically, the gentleman I'm working for buys kind of old rundown houses and fixes them up. And are you guys familiar with this property? Have you done a sidewalk? or-
No,
Okay.
we just found out about it, so.
Okay. As you're leaving town here, when you almost get down to the flats down in there, past the high school, it's the last house on the right. It's a white, older house, kind of close to the road.
I know the part of the road you're talking about.
Okay.
Is it the one with the chain link
Every
fence in
house.
front of it?
I believe so. It'd be the last house on the right, and then I think we go, there's a sand pit across the street. I think they have a solar farm in there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's that house there. So, it's an older house, it's in disrepair. They have an older cesspool, and so they bought it, and they want to fix it all up. There's some dilapidated outbuildings they want to remove. It currently has a cesspool, and they would like to upgrade that to a more compliant Title V system. It was built in, I think, in the 50s. Neshoba granted them a permit at the time for a 2-bedroom septic system. Currently, there's 3 bedrooms in the house, I think possibly 4, that's what the assessor has. But the town records, Neshoba's record indicate 2, so they consider it to be an expansion. What he'd like to do is to go to a 4-bedroom system. I think that makes a difference in your bylaw, whether it's just a repair or an expansion, new construction.
You mean under the Board of Health regulations?
Pardon?
Bylaw. Under the Board of Health bylaw.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also your regulations, right?
In our definition for expansion, yeah, right. So
Yeah.
that under our wetland bylaw, the upgrade would be considered the expansion, not just replacement.
Okay.
So, we did some extensive soil testing out there, and we found an area back up in here that would meet the requirements for the Board of Health for a 4-bedroom system, and that's where we've cited it.
Where's the current system?
There's a cesspool back right in here.
Okay.
So, there's a wetland that comes through, there's wetland up above here, there's some road drainage that drops into it. There's a culvert that bisects the property, and then it discharges back into a wetland on the other side.
Do you know anything about the culvert when it was built, or what its purpose
I do
was?
not. The best I can tell, it's made out of ADS plastic pipe.
Okay, so it's not an ancient.
It's not ancient,
Okay.
but I don't know any of the history. The guy lived there since the beginning of time, from what I understand.
Well, the 50s is not exactly the beginning of time, you know, you're gonna
Well,
insult
that's
yourself.
true,
and
it's
everyone
all
else.
relative, right?
It's the beginning of my time.
We were
The
just
50s
talking
is the
about
beginning of time
when we
for
going
me.
to the Red Sox in the 50s, so.
I was just getting started in the late 50s, so.
Okay.
I'm a little bit younger, I think, too. Not by much.
So obviously, the pipe connecting the septic system to the house is going to have to cross that culvert.
Correct. So basically what we're proposing to do is to put in a septic tank followed by a pump chamber, and this would be what we call a force main or a pump line. It'll pump it uphill to the leach field up here. There's really no other way to solve the septic up there without putting a pump in, because the house is kind of low here, and
Gravity doesn't work up here.
gravity's not going to work up in there. Originally, It's kind of an interesting parcel. It maps out as being all sand and gravel. There's a major sand pit, I understand, across the street here. The neighborhood all up here is sand. But for some reason, it's not sand here. So it was just kind of a real surprise to everybody, but
Do you have 100-foot lines from the wetlands drawn?
yeah, I have 50 foot here, and actually, this has been reviewed by Bill Brookings for Neshoba and the Board of Health, and he's pretty much okayed it. He just asked that I tweak this tank and move it out of the 50 foot.
Okay, where's the 100-foot?
100 foot would be right here.
Okay. And the 100-foot on the other side?
Be right up in here. It's kind of hard to get a good, this is that 100 foot right here, that line, BZ.
Did you mark the 100-foot from this?
Yes,
too?
I did.
Where's that?
Oh, they kind of intersect, so this portion would be 100 feet from this wetland, and this part of the line here would be
Okay.
100 feet from here.
Okay. And then over here, the 100-foot is
100
this?
foot would be right in here,
Okay.
and then this wetland here, this would represent the 100 feet, so it's just joined the two.
All right, so most of so the house is almost all in the upland resource, and at least half of the septic is in there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the other thing, so multiple things I'd like to do here is to, put the septic system in here. The second is there's an existing driveway here that wraps around the gravel drive, and the current doors come in here. He would like to eliminate this gravel drive and reclaim it as grass. So the driveways, what they'll do is rebuild this garage, the doors would be on the side entry right in here.
Okay. Are they going to change the footprint of the house at all?
No, they're not. In fact, there'll be less house on the lot when there's less structure, because this outbuilding right in here is dilapidated, and they would like to have that removed.
Okay.
So that would represent, then there's a storage trailer here. It looks like the back of an insulated truck or something that somebody had put over here, and they'd like to remove that. So there'll be less impervious area, and there'd be less rooftop when they're done.
Have you staked this out yet?
I have not.
Does anybody have any questions or anything?
This guy was like, is that?
You have to do a
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious about the wetland, that it's culverted and piped.
What's all part of the wetlands of the,
Fox Run.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but this lot was not part of that.
No, it wasn't.
So I'm just curious as to whether there's anything that we would have on file to show that it was piped, whether it should have been remained open, whether it was, a stream. I'd be kind of curious to see if we could find any.
Well, it can't be that old if it's
I know.
PVC.
Is this Main Street?
When they start
That's
using
Main Street up in
PVC?
here.
Oh, okay.
Here's Main Street, sand pits over here. High school would be back the road up this way, and then you come down the hill here, and then there's a traffic light, and there's that orchard or,
As soon as you're heading down, you see a Fox Run on your right, and as soon as you arrive Fox Run, there's a house that kind of nestles in, there's a chain link fence all around it. That house.
that's exactly where it is, right after Fox Run.
As
Just
you're heading
before
down.
Frozen Orchard.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Fox
It's
Run.
directly, it's all on the same property, Fox Run, not that parcel, but it's all like,
Right,
it could have been.
right.
So did
So
the person?
another one-
Okay.
Curious, with the road over here, why they put the culvert in?
That family's been in town for a long time, so I'm sure it's probably something that they
Just did?
did,
I would suspect the same thing.
yeah. They're.
PVC
they're
goes back to the
organized,
30s.
so.
What does?
PVC pipe goes
So
way back.
was there, I was wondering, was there a wetland report that was submitted? I don't think I'm seeing it.
I did not
Neither.
submit a wetlands report. This is a very steep slope that goes down to the discharge, and there's a change in, there's a bank right here, so it just kind of drops off into the wetland. It's a pretty clean line. We tried to do some up front in here There's actually the pavement, and then this is actually the property line. So I think at some point in time, the road was relocated, straightened, probably years ago. So the old road probably came through here, and then more of a curve in it, and they just slid it over and straightened it out. So it looks like you got a lot of room up in here, but you really don't.
I mean, I think the commission usually, they do a site visit after the presentation
Sure.
so that they can get a better idea of things. I guess, my initial look at it is that there looks like there's some opportunity for mitigation that would maybe improve the conditions rather than just all grass. That's what was proposed in the area where the outbuilding was going to be, just because it's so close to the edge of that wetland. But, we
Yeah, we
haven't
could
looked
plant
at the
a couple of-
wetland, so I
yeah.
don't know.
No, we could, I mean, removing that building would be mitigation, improvement of what's there. We could also put some red maples along the edge here, if that would, and a few red maples there would be fine.
I think we have to look at it and see if
Yeah.
that's sufficient or not enough.
But you need to stake it out for us. So stake out,
What do you
the
want, the limit of grading for the septic?
limit of grading for the septic, and has
Would
the
the box
wetlands been
be-
staked?
Wetlands have been flagged.
Flagged, okay.
Where the box will be,
Excuse me?
where the septic box,
Septic tanks?
the septic, yeah,
Okay.
that will be.
Yeah. I don't think you need to do the 100-foot line, because almost everything's in it, so.
Mhm.
And maybe where the pipe is going too, if you could just spray paint something across so we can see where that's going.
Couple markers would be great.
There's some markers on it. Anybody think of anything else before we go?
Do you want to attend?
Well, if not, when you guys do it, I could do it a separate time. I mean,
When are you planning on
next
out there?
Tuesday is
When are you
town
gonna
meeting
have to
potentially,
I'm thinking
so.
the following Tuesday?
um,
We have town meeting coming up
Do
soon.
we meeting that night?
We don't meet again until May 20th,
Do you want to do it the following Tuesday?
so the Tuesday after town meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just see what
that gives you time to get things staked out or whatever. and- Does that work?
Yeah. All right, let's get,
So you guys are gonna do a site walk.
with somebody from Green Hill. Usually have the, somebody representing.
It's the 13th of Monday, isn't
But
it?
I'm looking it up, so
No, it's Tuesday.
the 13th is a Tuesday.
Okay, so 5:13.
Six? That gets Carol, yeah?
Yeah.
Maria, can you make that?
Yes, 6 is
Okay.
good.
5:15, 6, so you have everything staked out?
Sure, what time?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
All right, and then to continue the hearing to the 20th.
Yes.
Rain or shine.
For the site walk?
At
Serious?
7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first one, right?
Lately it's been raining.
Sometimes it really helps, we can see storm.
No, absolutely, yeah, no, you can see a lot more rain.
So we're going to ask you to sign, we're going to continue the
You
hearing.
know what, I only have one of those sheets, so I can have him do that, but then I won't have any others, just so you know. I forgot to make extra copies.
They have a machine upstairs?
Oh, there's a machine right there, I wonder if I can.
Yeah, turn it on.
So the meeting's continued till May
20th, it's our next meeting.
20th.
So we do have conditions for the sidewalk. No mosquitoes, no rain, temperatures between 60
You already
and
told me the rain's
75.
fine, not a problem.
So I'm assuming all the stockade fence will be coming down.
Yeah, it's a whole place, it
It's
just
just-
needs a one massive cleanup.
Clean up, yeah.
So,
Where is the fence on the map?
It's between
On your
117 and the
diagram.
house.
Is it,
I think the fence is probably up and
Yeah, it's
oh, okay.
it's not, nothing's complete, so it's not like a fence line runs from here.
It looks like it's out of the upland resource.
Well, some of it.
The
Oh, no,
fence?
excuse me,
No,
the
it
fence is
runs-
out here,
it
I'm
runs
sorry,
along
I'm
117.
disoriented, the fence is back
River
here.
117 is. It only runs maybe.
Is this 117 up here? So the fence is right there?
Yeah, it was until we flipped the plan around.
So that could be out of the, or, yeah.
I mean, the objective, what he wants to do is get a proper functioning septic system in there, clean up property, make it nice, and get rid of some of that junk and...
Has he done other houses like this in town?
Probably not. Not
Part of
all.
the thing the commission likes to try to do is, along with those kinds of things, if it's something they're going to approve, is try to make it so that the homeowner, the next owner, is not going to have any unintended infractions into the resource areas, or, so you often use it as an opportunity to get it more clearly delineated, like, you know, who knows if we knew that the pipe went in, kind of thing, could have been a stream,
Right.
might be a stream, you know?
And sometimes some of the conditions we ask to be put in the deed. So that when, because the realtors come in and say, no, there's nothing, and the people come in and then they're surprised when they come to us.
So anyway, Teresa's making copies of that.
Okay.
So, 2 seconds.
Just need you to sign it so
Sure.
that you agree to the continuation.
So you use this building and the other town hall? I noticed there's another town building when you come into town.
Yes, and it's also the police station has rooms in the library.
So where do you have your town meetings, the high school?
High school.
Yeah.
It's the only place that's big enough. Sometimes it's
How many people in Bolton? How many people in Bolton?
5,000.
5,000.
Between 4,500 and 5,000 on 20 square miles. So it's pretty, it's not very dense.
They won't all be at the town meeting this year.
I don't think they've ever all been at the town meeting. We get 500 people. It's a major issue.
That's a good show, 500 people.
Last year or the year before, I had to park about a mile away.
What kind of tax you
It
pay
was a
for?
school budget issue. A lot of people showed up.
Was that the year with Weatherby or no? Like 3 years ago. That was a big meeting.
I think we're done spending money for a while, we're just paying now. We got a new high school, a new elementary school. Sturbridge,
Brian would have been interested, one of our commission members works there in Sturbridge, might have been interested in that.
where's he work? Who?
Does he work, I know, does he work for the museum for Sturbridge? Village? What's that? I don't know. Okay, thank you. So we'll see you there.
Sidewalk on the 13th, continue to the 20th.
That'd be great, thank you
7
very
o'clock.
much.
All right, thank you, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, have a good night.
So the Bolton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, and of the Bolton Wetland Protection Law, Chapter 233. And Mecklin is representing for Bundy at 100 Anymore Road.
Can I have the other ones? All right, and probably done with this one now, too.
I just faked it from that.
I'm going to give you the ones for each of the applicants.
Okay. I thought it was the only one you had.
No, I have them for all of them.
Thank you. I'm John Mecklin, building contractor, representing the homeowner, David Bundy. This is a home,
Can I just, are you interested in this project, too? Were you here for this project?
I just live close by.
yes, he's
Because
in
we
the-
usually just record who's attending. You want to give me your name?
Maria DePaula,
Maria Cavallo?
yes.
If you're interested, you want to move up, you can take a seat if you want to stay.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I went over the plan with her in the back there. Carol, you don't have the stuff that I submitted to you, so I'll...
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do? Well, I mean, because I've submitted kind of nicer things to you than ended up left in my file.
Okay, I'll let you have
That's
it
all right.
as long as you...
I have some plans.
Reach out-
This is a home that's, I don't know, probably 12 years old. existing home. Pretty much the whole,
Hey, Jonathan, this one's colored, right? That's what you want, the color?
yeah, the colors always kind of jump out at things. When you see this, they shoehorned this in pretty tightly several years ago. So I've got a wetlands delineation here, so we're wetlands to my left. A shared driveway comes right down, so here's buffer zone, here's a 100-foot offset, and then the other, I didn't color it because I'm not working there, but the other 100 feet just comes right down through here. So they sandwiched in a septic system with a shoehorn back in whatever year that was.
Looks like the late 1990s.
Yeah, I want to say 98, 99. So then my client purchased this house 4 or 5 years ago. So he's got a raised septic system with a house looking out over that small yard. They have since put a pool in, which I think maybe Carol, were you on board when that came in?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I was working here.
Carol's early
Is
years.
this right as you go in up anymore?
No, this is, you go past Lord's, so
Yeah.
you've taken a left corner, and then right where the hook's right again, there's a long driveway.
It's
that
right
goes out
before
in
the
woods.
stream, right?
On your right-hand side?
Yes.
It's on the left.
On left-hand
It's the
side.
other opposite side is Lord's.
Before Joe Byers.
Yes.
There's
We
a
abut- we-
conservation
we abut
restriction on
Joe
the wetland portion of that property going in, which is from the Cavallos.
Yes.
I don't remember if it's,
It
which
had to
lots
be-
it's on, but it was on,
You'd have to be over many feet away, the driveway had to be
right.
a hundred or 150
Where is the
feet away
pool?
from the...
Pulls back here.
Is the pool at all in the resource area?
I think,
It's
they
just
definitely
out.
came, yeah, they may have had some
I have an older drawing that
grading.
shows the pool. I got that
They may have had some grading or some landscaping that
Yeah.
came in. I'm trying to, I don't remember that as well. Do you remember that, Lori?
I don't remember.
Pool?
It was approved.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah, no,
approved.
there was an order for the pool.
Well, it may have been a request for determination, that's what I'm not positive about.
Yeah, I have it somewhere, 'cause I just looked at it tonight. At any rate, our work is contiguous to the existing paved driveway. We have an existing home and a paved driveway. It is in the 100-foot offset. It's a 12-foot by 24-foot. It's kind of a light footprinted carriage house. We're not going to do a foundation or a concrete slab. We're going to do a crushed stone floor. We're going to set it on concrete piers. It has kind of a little bit agricultural look to it. It's to get one of this gentleman's cars out of the weather for the winter. He does have 2 cars.
So it's not like, it's not an open carport?
No, it's not a
Okay,
carport.
yeah.
No, I've done.
I had
I've-
envisioned that,
Well,
I
I've done
guess.
several of these where we actually, we keep the walls just above grade. It keeps us from requiring a full foundation. It helps the cost with the client. It has kind of a little agricultural look to it. But it's gonna have a roof, so we are impacting the runoff or the impervious area of that footprint, 12 by 24, which is 288 square feet. It fronts right on the existing pavement. It is staked now, so if we want to look at it, it's pretty really staked. So we have, just for, in general proximities, we have the edge of the vegetated wetland out here, the 25-foot offset, which I can color in right now, but.
I don't need 25, I can see that pretty clearly.
The 25
This
is
is
no
the
longer,
100.
Jonathan, 25 is no longer really part of the bylaw, it was at the
Well,
time.
then I'm not,
Yeah.
doesn't get the orange highlighter.
The first 25 feet is considered part of the wetland, and then the additional 75 feet is the adjacent upland resource.
Okay.
Things change faster than I do. So I learned a new phrase, the aura.
Yes, the new phrase now, instead of the WRPD.
Yeah.
So I think, Bob, we
Where else?
asked about any other alternatives?
Yeah, what other alternatives do you have for that?
Well,
That's not in the
the
resource?
driveway lends itself, there's a little turnout area here as well, but that's also in the buffer zone. So this makes more sense for livability and use.
What about this section over here?
That's quite nicely developed, that's all pool area right now, that's all heavily landscaped and pool fence.
I'm sorry, what's in the location where it is right now? Nothing?
There's nothing there.
Nothing, grass?
It's not trees?
It's tree, I'm sorry, there's nothing, yeah, it's second growth. second overgrown agricultural land. There's some mature trees, we've sited it, so we don't have to take down anything. Everything's about that big.
How many trees are you taking down?
Oh, if you count everything right down to the size of your thumb, probably 20 or 30. But anything that you would ever put in a wood stove, maybe probably 3.
How about everything over, more than 2 inches in diameter?
I'd be lying if I gave you a real number.
Okay.
It's-
Have you marked the boundaries where you're going?
I can for the site visit.
Okay.
I can. We have no interest or intention of further landscaping the area. We're just going to kind of nestle it into, leave it a natural area. And we can, if we get to an order of conditions, I'm happy to have my client sign off on that as a condition, that there's no further landscaping on that side, because it's really not his intent.
Has your client thought of any mitigation for working in the resource area?
I think we would really be willing to hear what you folks would prefer, instead of, trying to put words in everybody's mouth. Here's the pool. I knew I had one. So, right now, I have a very heavily improved area that when we go out there, we will see it pretty much follows this, give or take a foot or two. So there's a fenced area, and this is landscaped along the side.
Most of that's out of the resource area, it's just this little corner here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think this was done. And again, there's an order for that.
Okay.
Open to
Do you
close.
remember what the paving is in here?
It's stone. It's natural stone, kind of a sandstone. Because I just saw them redo it.
Okay.
It was a concrete patio when it was first put in, and they covered it in natural stone a year or two ago.
So there's
it's not
concrete
really
underneath?
pervious.
So it's-
Yeah, it's impervious.
Impervious,
It's
okay.
impervious.
So do you think?
You know what
that
was in the order for that originally? or-
No, I'm not a fan. It may not have been an order, that's what I'm not sure about. It may have been
Okay.
a determination.
You'll take a look first
Yeah.
before we go out?
Is the wetland well-defined? Like, you can still tell what you're basing the line off of?
A botanist could. It's absolutely flat as a pancake. There's not a bottom of slope.
Mhm.
There's no, there might be skunk cabbage by the time we get out there.
But so you can pull some measurements off, maybe, to get us to the point of where the
Sure.
line would be?
I could get us within a couple of arms lengths of where we believe, or where they believed in '98 that the edge of the resource was.
That would be helpful.
Chris, I could have changed it.
Only if the beavers make it in there. Usually, in my experience, it doesn't change in 10 years unless the beavers show up. And there's not enough running
Something
water
that's
back
flat,
there.
sometimes it can be like that, too. Could be,
There's one through inventory. We could get poor Elizabeth back on us out there again, probably. I don't think she'd do it.
Commission can give you an idea whether they think.
We can take a look and see if that's
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah, I'm not really qualified to define the edge unless there's a bottom, a slope, or, as a contractor, we kind of go by
I
skunk
understand.
cabbage, red maples, wild blueberries, stuff like that.
So we need to do a site walk. Do you want to do it on the same night after the other one? 6:30? Does that give us enough time? So we're going to,
May 13th?
May 13th, we'll do a site walk at 6:30.
By the time we get across town, hopefully it'll still be light.
Yeah, you think that's enough time? 6?
Well, it's later.
40.
It's already a couple weeks later.
I'm just saying, so if we're at that other place and it's not really 10 minutes to the.
Let's try to do
a
this
little
one
bit.
first. With that.
Make it 6:30, and then if we're late, we're late.
Carol, if she doesn't already, she'll have my cell phone at that time.
I have it in the file, I think.
Yeah.
Unless oh wait, right here on your file here.
Rain, we don't mind.
I
but
put it on the
dark is-
file, put it on the file.
Yeah.
So we'll continue the hearing until our next hearing is 5:20,
Okay?
and at 7:15.
Okay.
And so we need you to sign a little piece of paper.
Yeah, let me see if I can get that other one that Teresa was making copies of.
This,
Just keep it in the middle.
Okay.
that was from your.
Okay.
I brought two. I remember.
How's your mother and father?
What's that?
I said, how's your mother and father?
They're okay. Actually, my mom just had a little event. She was in the hospital, scared us all.
Yeah.
But she's okay. Did you know they'd gone to Tennessee?
I knew they moved out.
Yeah, they're in
I didn't know
Knoxville.
where they
They're in
were.
Knoxville with my
Are they?
sister. Am I the applicant?
Yes, you
Okay,
well
and I just
represented.
signed a continuation. Okay. Can you save me a copy of that? I'll come in and,
Yeah.
I'll come in and get a copy of that. My parents lived in Bolton for, since 51. And just moved out of town early, 1995, so. I've been here, it feels like that long, but not quite that long, so.
Well, welcome.
Lori and I were little together. I've been here a long time. I've come and gone, but
You with him now?
I do. I live on Old Bay Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the woman who bought your house was here considering helping us
Yeah.
with the commission.
Was she really?
Yep, I think she really would like to, but...
Campbell.
Yeah, time's just not the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seemed like she'd be great.
That'd be great.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Get out of your hair.
Give the next notice, please.
It's a continued hearing, so it doesn't need notice. We're just opening the continued hearing.
Okay. So we're going to open our continued hearing on Avery 397 Berlin Road. Hello. How's everybody? If you come one more time, you become a member of the commission. And if you come to 7 straight meetings, you become chairman.
I lost my slot.
What's your first
You
name?
were talking about this first all the time.
You live in town?
Might as well.
I think he has New Hampshire plates.
No, I do. I just moved to Andover.
Oh, okay.
And I just got my computer up and running after a week today. You guys and
Everybody's interested in this can come up and look over the shoulders if you're interested.
we are literally just looking at this for the same, looking at the same time I picked up about an hour ago. Okay?
So are you submitting that?
Yeah. In fact, these are your copies. I'll take this one. Okay. I went through all of them. I'm shaking out my folder. Okay. This is the Mesa plan that everybody's been talking about, okay? And basically it shows what this whole area is doing. For this board's consumption, this is Berlin line. This is the 4 lots, if you will. This is the back lot that we're talking about extending the driveway to. And I've got a driveway plan that's not much good, but this just gives you an idea of where we are and what we're doing. I believe that,
But you're in for the driveway, right? Isn't that what we're doing?
right, this driveway here,
Mhm.
along with the paving of the rest of the driveway.
Well, can we just step back on that, because the last time everybody was here, the applicants were here, that Lot 4 was not being considered part of the the application.
But I thought and I'll stand back on that, okay, but I thought that they said that when we did the site walk, that we wanted all this on one.
Okay, well, we haven't had anyone in since the site walk, so maybe we should recap from the site
Actually, he was
walk.
in the last time.
Bob was, but he
Bob
wasn't one of the applicants.
No, because they were kind of stepping
Well, it
back.
wasn't, I guess we should just clarify, because,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right, Bob was here. We did have a little bit of discussion about the sidewalk, but because the other applicants weren't here, probably should try to tie it together.
Okay.
Because I wasn't still
Okay.
clear whether Lot 4 is in or out.
Okay, when at last episode, okay, what I did was I asked the board for their feelings after the site walk, and basically, okay, specifically for pavement. They said, look, we can't vote on this, but at the same time, okay, we see the merit of it, and you're okay, and I said, I don't want to design things 3 and 4 times, okay, and they said, we understand.
Yeah,
So
but we
some
can't
direction.
discuss things except in the public meeting.
Right.
No, this is at the meeting.
This was at the meeting.
Oh, the last time?
At
Okay.
the last
Because I remember
meeting-
last time we didn't have all the information to move forward.
No, but we talked in generalities. I
Yeah.
said, before I go out and we talked about parking spaces. and we
Bob was
talked
filling
about a
us
lot
out
of things.
from.
Right, okay, and I was, so, this I just picked up, this is going to endangered species.
Mhm.
They want to look at the whole, the whole plan and how it works. This here, I don't know why we did this, but this kind of is, without putting the pond in there, it's kind of hard to look at this, but what he did was, okay, he was saying that, you know, where the culvert is, and the culvert, if you look here, is all, you know.
Right there?
Yeah, and then this driveway's up here, so the culvert goes somewhere right in here. Might as well mark up on this, doesn't it, Pam? Yeah, please. And, you know, the pond is somewhat like this. Okay, and the culvert goes something like this, all right? What he wanted to do, he said, well, you almost have natural parking right here. I said, no, they're not gonna want that, okay? They wanted a turnout, and we talked about something like this. up
Well,
in
can I just
here.
clarify? I think what we said was that the planning board may require turnouts if it has to get a special permit.
Right, but for the sake of the discussion that we had here, conservation liked the idea of having some parking spaces here, and if you don't, that's fine. You get
No,
the-
right, because there's a trail.
Right.
Well, I don't think we talked about where we wanted to have it.
Well, I suggested, because there was a pole right here, and we wanted to, I don't remember,
Yeah,
it was before or after the pole, but it was,
It was before the.
You must have done that at the sidewalk that I wasn't
Right.
on.
It was,
Right.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
between
right,
the pole and
exactly.
the street,
So-
which is in the grassy area.
it made sense that if I was going, and this isn't to scale, I'll tell you that, but if it was going to happen, this is the Concom land right now. So that's why he didn't draw it on here. So again.
Where's the Concom list?
All this
Oh,
here.
there. It's an open field.
It's an open field, and this topography goes up.
And how far does the lot line go on this before the conservation? Is this where the conservation is
Yes.
over here?
Yes, it's right at the driveway is it's my understanding, that's the lot line.
Oh, so the lot line's right here, right here. So this is all conservation?
Right, so if you wanted us to do a turnout, we'd be happy to design that. And then the thought process was, and again, this stream goes like this or wherever, okay, was,
So just, because I wasn't at the, you might have discussed this at the walk, there was, why do we want to turn out for the, as the
because there's a
conservation?
walking trail up here, and if you don't want it, that's fine.
No, I think I think what was said at the meeting that we had last week, and just so, again, so that the applicants know, we had to open it to continue it because nobody was here and I hadn't heard from anybody about when you wanted it continued to. So Bob was here, so he said, you know, that he was just interested in finding out some of the feedback because he'd been on the site visit. So I don't know, were you both on the site visit?
Is that recording? Yeah, Chris,
I hope so. I don't know, I hope so. Anyway, if the planning board requires the planning board has some requirements if you upgrade the driveway with, to require special permit review to make it comply with today's common driveway standards. So one of the things that is typically required is turnouts, pullouts, so that you can have 2 cars passing each other and so forth.
Right.
So that was one part of the discussion. And then there was some discussion as to whether the Conservation Commission would like to have some kind of parking for the trailhead. So that was the other part.
But if you
I don't
have a
think we really
turnout,
figured
and
out where.
people
I think we
parking,
just
you
said we
don't have
do
a
pull
turnout
off
anymore.
already.
It can't be both
Right.
things.
When we were at the sidewalk, we were kind of just.
Okay, so at the
looking
sidewalk, I
at
didn't-
possible areas, and there is a telephone pole about partway down, and the grade it's kind of level or somewhat level to that point before it dips, so that's why we're looking at, we're going to have a turnout or a parking spot.
Well, it can't be both. That's my question. Which was it going to be?
Right, I mean,
Because
you
if you park
can't,
cars there, it's no longer a turnout.
Right.
Well, it can be whatever you want it to be.
And I don't know-
You want one car, it can't be.
We're only
2 to 1.
interested in parking for the conservation, we don't have an interest in the turnout.
right, we wouldn't want that on conservation land particularly,
No,
right?
We were just looking at general location for putting the parking, which would be,
Yeah.
well, probably
So,
above this.
I don't think we'd want a turnout in the conservation land, so where would you put your turn, if it was required, I don't know if it is.
Well, I just do it there.
Okay, I'll take a
Okay.
picture of that in my camera. so.
But anyway, so I think we should,
Yeah,
we would
no.
probably want to find out where the turnouts are required, if they're going to be required, before we figure out where we want to put the parking.
Well, let's go under the assumption that either way, does the Concom want any parking spaces? Okay, I think that's a fair question. Whether they want a turnaround or not is immaterial.
Are there trails in there? or-
There's a trail right now, right over the bridge, on the right.
She's under the assumption there's no public access for that trailhead on a private driveway.
Well,
But no,
And
she's
maybe
left.
that's
Um,
the reason that it
Question
comes here.
Hmm?
And maybe
I
that's.
know that there's a 40-foot right-of-way off of Berlin that touches our property. Whether it goes all the way down there, I don't know, but he's talking about maybe building something on our property.
Okay.
What I
But
was trying to do
but
is
so what, yeah, so what
accommodate
Louis is saying, though, is that the public may not have access
To the
down the
driveway.
common driveway
Got it.
to pull off. We maybe would have to create something in the 40-foot right-of-way
Okay.
if we wanted to do that.
everybody. So then, for the sake of this discussion, okay, unless they granted you guys an easement or the public an easement, then we're having a talk about nothing really.
Right.
Well, what we should be talking about is their application and what they want to do for their drainage improvements and their driveway improvements, because that's what we don't know.
Okay, and what I'm trying to do, just so everybody's aware, like I said last meeting, I want to create this once. These plans are not cheap, okay? So, you know, I'm happy to go to planning board and say, look, you know, is this a requirement? Do you want this or don't you? Okay? All I'm trying to do is define,
Well, so the two separate issues. So
agree.
if the planning board wants a turnout,
Yeah.
that's going to be on your side of the road, doesn't affect us.
okay,
If you want to work with us for some parking areas, that's separate, and planning board wouldn't have any say in that. So
Fair enough.
if, one does nothing to do with the other, as far as I can see.
Well, let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm going to respectfully disagree with that, because if that's a parking area, they're going to want it shown on their plan. Okay, the planning board's going to want that, they're going to kick me back here. So if you're telling me you don't want parking, wonderful.
Well, I don't know if we can, someone brought up the fact that you might need an easement, because the property owners may not want it.
And that may be a quick, no, we don't want it, and then we'll just...
So you'd have to
move on.
find that out first.
Okay, so...
Because that wasn't brought up before.
But I think the reason I'm saying that we need to know about the drainage is because I don't think we should be thinking about parking if you're going to have the drainage in the middle of the parking. I mean, the parking,
Well,
when
no,
you're going to
I-
have
no, I-
culverts or swales or
This would have been
something.
prior to that.
No, I guess
It would
my
have been
thought-
Stream
yeah.
before
Right.
it came.
Oh, it's not, well, see, I don't even know, because it's not shown really where it's going to go, because it hasn't been designed.
What's designed there now is, it just sheet drains. Okay, it just sheet drains down and goes into the wetlands. If there was gonna be a parking area or a turnout area, okay, on this side, you'd make a natural grass treatment swale, okay, and that's how it would get cleaned. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing to do.
Right, but we don't have that before us, is what I guess.
The driveway is not paved now, correct?
The driveway's paved to here,
Okay,
and then it's paved up here. Okay, this crossing is not paved.
okay.
So, why don't we discuss, you're right, this is growing more tentacles as we speak about it. The issue before you was the pavement, okay?
And drainage.
And drainage, and whether or not you want to include Lot 4 in that, okay?
And whether they want to include that for.
No, Lot 4 is not us, it's them.
Okay, so,
Where is Lot 4 on the map here? I see 1, 2, 3,
4,
there's a lot up here.
right. So
It's just not marked on this.
Right, so the driveway goes in and makes a turn. Like, here's lot 4 right here, so say about 100 feet from here, like right here. and it goes in here. This existing trail was always here.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what they used to, it's just, it's not even a gravel road, it's just,
It's a cart path.
right,
Okay.
it's just a cart path.
Okay,
So we were gonna use the existing cart path completely out of the buffer, because the buffer's right here.
and if you build a house here, you have no
Right.
plans to go into the buffer?
No. No.
Septic?
No.
Yard, anything?
Septic's right here.
Okay. No yard in the back?
No grading, no nothing.
Okay,
As a matter of fact, I have the septic plan.
okay.
But it will change the drainage characteristics.
Well, can I ask,
Because they're part of the driveway.
When we left the last meeting, basically what we left it at is, you were doing lot 4. We had said that we needed some kind of swale prior to the bridge and some kind of drainage on the other side of the bridge because you were including that. But the applicants were all waiting on you because Heritage was waiting on a survey. So they were kind of on a hold and you were getting the paperwork. So I think what we're kind of looking for tonight is what's come about that as far as a driveway. Are you all on the same plan? They're waiting, you know, are they on board with you? And what kind of drainage issues are we having? Including whether we need a parking spot or a turnout. Because that's how I thought we left it is, you know, we're waiting on you to find out,
Well, this is the
is it all
plan.
together? And
This
you-
is the plan.
And you have drainage issues already?
That's not, well, the
Is that-
drainage is not on that plan, that's the plan for
Right.
national heritage.
Right.
It's not, it doesn't show any of the drainage
Right.
issues.
So you're still waiting on Heritage to...
So today,
Yeah,
if we said we're not going to do anything with my lot, okay, then they'd just be acting on their lot. Is that correct? Okay, and they just want an okay to pave their driveway. Am I?
no, and do drainage is
oversimplifying?
what they said in the application.
There's still drainage issues.
Yeah, well, that's
They're
part and
basically
parcel
the
of
same drainage issues that
driveway
have
issue.
been there since that driveway's been there for 20 years.
but it's not paved,
It's not
so
paved.
it's,
Well, what does paving have to do with not paved?
it becomes an,
Well,
water
it
will sheet.
superheats the water.
It
is
still
one-
sheets whether it...
Right, but it
it's-
sheets will-
can change the characteristics of the wetland.
We're trying to correct a bad situation that's happening. I mean, right now you got a gravel driveway that's moving, it's
Yeah, exactly.
silting into, so,
Yeah, there's a huge sinkhole on this one side of the culvert.
so we're trying to correct a bad
Bridge,
situation
it's a stone bridge
that's
that's
obviously
collapsed.
occurring year after year.
That's not a sinkhole, that's a bridge that's just
It's-
collapsed, it's in failure.
Yeah,
It's probably a
Yeah.
dropped stone or
Yeah.
something like that.
yeah.
Well, it's not going to improve conditions over time.
No, so,
But actually, that has nothing to do with the driveway, because it's actually off the left-hand side of it.
you've got an applicant that wants a paved driveway. You got another applicant, whether we're together or not, okay, that's willing to do whatever the board wants us to do, okay, within reason, and that's what we're here for.
And
so where do you want to
that's
pave it
where
up to
we're at.
where?
Pardon me?
Where's,
What was the question, Bob?
where are you paving it to?
It's paved to here right now,
Yeah,
okay, and it's paved, I don't know, right,
Up here somewhere.
right here, yeah,
There's
okay.
a hill.
Right, so there's again, the only thing you can see this for,
so the road goes up this way now?
yeah, it goes like this.
This is a new construction over here?
Right,
Yes.
Okay.
right.
And where is the sinkhole, or the bridge is in disrepair?
Right over the culvert.
It's an ancient stone bridge.
And that has to be repaired?
It has to be repaired, yes.
So usually when people come in to repair culverts, we have plans about what the repair is when they cross the
But is
But
wetland.
I
that
have no...
repair related to this project?
No, and I have no intention of repairing the bridge. Okay, I'm just leaving the bridge the way it is.
However,
It should
once
just
once
be-
you change
Blocked off.
the driveway to a completely...
Yeah, but I don't understand, Lori, because I wasn't out there in the
Yeah.
brainstorm, that you guys were, if the drainage isn't coming down and potentially running off, and that would continue to affect that hole.
Okay, but do you want that bridge removed? Okay,
No, but I'm
I
not
know where
sure
the bridge
whether
is,
it
so-
should
What's
be
that?
continue to
The
erode,
bridge isn't with...
is what I don't understand.
The
is what-
road doesn't use the bridge?
no.
Let
me explain.
This is a secondary emergency exit in
Well,
case something did happen to the...
I wouldn't even say that, okay? when this lot was one lot, in order to get up back here, that was part of the cart path. That was the original bridge for the farm.
Yep.
So where is the bridge on this driveway? I'm sorry, I wasn't at the walk.
When they built the common driveway, they put in a new bridge.
With a
Right.
culvert, right next to it.
So this culvert is not in disarray?
No.
No,
No,
Where's the
On the
old
contrary.
one?
it's adjacent, it's right next to it. It's where there's a spillway, runs
Okay.
underneath the stone bridge, which is covered with earth, and that was the bridge I used for the first 3 years that I lived back there.
Okay,
Then
okay,
the builder put in this aluminum culvert and a new bridge. But
okay.
this one is falling apart, the old one.
The old one is just, okay, eventually going to fall apart.
Are you gonna pave in here and in here?
No, that's not the proposal.
no,
It's
but since
over
you
this-
are going to pave
Over this
portions of it,
crossing.
that will change the requirements to include a turnout, and the turnout could change the drainage characteristics.
Yes, so yes and no. The paving alone wouldn't cause the requirement for the upgrade. The drainage improvements do.
Okay. And the drainage characteristics depend on where the turnout, if one is required, is going to be, and how it's going to be constructed.
Right, so it's not, you can't sort of separate out, I mean, you could propose something to us, and then you could find out that you have to go to the planning board, and that they're gonna require other standards. And so then you're doing like what Bob didn't want to do, is multiple plans.
Right, right.
I think what's before the Conservation Commission, there was a request for determination of applicability. You're asking the commission to determine if whether the work you want to do is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and the wetland bylaw, and whether or not it's going to need a notice of intent. And I think you guys, at this point, haven't received the information that you've needed to
Yep.
say that it's not going to. And from everything I've heard, it sounds as though there's potential to have impact either during construction or at the end of it. So I think maybe the guidance that I would recommend is that you give them is that they file a notice of intent. And they include the drainage, and they include the improvements, and they talk to the planning board and try to design that into their proposal. And if they're going to work with Mr. Pace, that they include that work too. I'm not exactly sure, because I haven't looked at your plan, you know, exactly where the buffer zone is, whether we'd agree on that one, which we probably would.
Yeah.
But I also don't know whether there might be riverfront associated with the stream, because the stream on the other side is a perennial stream that's open, it's not part of the pond part. So there may be some of that driveway that would be your new driveway that might be within the riverfront
I
area.
think one of the key things that you mentioned, Carol, that no one else had touched on until then, was the fact that it's not just the drainage over the stream issue, that's where the paving operation is going to happen. And that may be something that we need to know about, how they're going to handle.
Right. So I guess, Karen, because I think we're gonna have to suggest that you get a notice of intent, so we can get all these issues straightened out.
Well, I like that. I think you're moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
okay? I think we all are, okay? But, so I'm going to apply for a notice of intent
Yeah.
for this driveway, but how does that get the whole pavement issue off of the table, or it doesn't? And I don't mind doing the drainage calculations, and at that point, I'd like to simultaneously go into planning board for a conceptual hearing, okay, just to see if they have any thoughts on it at all.
Do you have access without, you have an easement over the driveway currently?
No, that's, what we're doing is, I'm going to create, okay, a new driveway for them, okay? And for that, they're going to give me an easement.
Right, and will that new driveway just be a paved driveway, or will it have drainage?
Paved driveway.
Okay.
Well, I would hope that that's been
Right.
functioning
So-
as a paved driveway. This would be my argument, and tell me if this is, I mean, if they went in today and repaved that driveway, that, like anybody else would do, they'd just repave the driveway. The only area that we're talking about is,
Well,
from here to
so
here.
Bob, so usually we do ask about paved driveways, because, again, they're doing earthwork.
Yeah, but it's
So-
already paved, is what I'm saying.
Right, but so the
That's the
extent of what they're
section,
doing,
yeah.
are you
Yeah.
putting in on a top coat? I mean, even the highway department comes in to put on a top coat. They file with the commission,
Yep.
when they're doing that. So if you're putting on a top coat, then you come in, and maybe if that's all you were saying you were doing, on the existing part that's paved, then that would be fairly simple request for determination, possibly, right?
Yep.
But if you come in and you say, well, the gravel base isn't really all that good, and that's part of the problem, it's cracking up. And like the commission did do the site visit, which I wasn't on, but I mean, sometimes you may want to do more than that. Maybe the paving contractor says, well, we want to excavate and put down, fresh, 8 inches of this and, have a 4-inch layer of this and then our top of. Those are the kinds of details that usually are submitted with the information.
That's not the intent today. The intent is to shim and go right over that, okay, the base.
Good, so that's not been presented really that way, clearly to.
But that's only up to here, right?
Right. There's
we're-
about 150 feet that we're talking about. that
It's
goes-
still 150
No,
feet,
no, no,
so-
no, I'm
So
just trying to
let me
explain it to you, Bob.
let me tell you what the application says. This is what's before the commission. The work description is to regrade and pave a portion of the common driveway, which is currently gravel. It is likely that segmented swales will be constructed to manage runoff. The work traverses the stream and is sited in the area of the farm pond. Since its creation, a gravel portion of the common driveway has suffered significant water erosion because of poor grading and lack of ancillary provisions for managing water flows. So from that, it was understood at the first meeting that they wanted to do some drainage. So we don't have any details of that, and we don't have any details of the grading.
But it also means that it's not simply repaving of a paved portion, you're paving the gravel portion which crosses the wet stream.
I'm in total agreement with
Yes,
what I'm
because you're going to
saying.
issue a positive determination.
I think we should concentrate on that area.
That would be the motion to
Okay.
make a positive
The pavement's
determination.
the pavement, it's all the same, okay?
Let me just
Whether
look
it
at-
gets repaved or it stays paved, it's paved, okay? And going up the other way. So I think that doing a notice of intent, okay, is probably the right way to go.
So I'm going to make a motion that we make a positive determination and we should apply for notice of intent.
Now,
Discussion?
Yeah,
well,
I
one question,
understand.
because I guess out of the last meeting, I assumed that you were doing the house with the whole driveway with the consent of, so I want to know, is that what the notice of intent is involving? You're doing the whole driveway and with the house, or is it
Yes.
just going to be just a driveway?
No, with the house.
Any more discussion? on the motion?
Can I just tell you, there's several positives, so let's just
Okay.
make sure we
We
get the
have to
right
list all
one.
the positives?
Well, the first one is that the area described is subject to a protection under the act, removing, because they didn't ask about, well, actually, let me ask what they asked.
Do we have to put all that in the motion?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
So let me just double check if they asked about the.
Could I just ask one question before you put in the motion? So, the applicants would need to include Lot 4 with that, and if I'm going to do a notice of intent on it.
I think wouldn't they be two separate because they're different owners? No.
Well, originally, the request for determination came in including Lot 4. At the first public meeting, it was said Lot 4 wasn't part of it. So then there was a site visit, and you were the only one who came to the meeting, so I don't really know. Is Lot 4 part of this application?
Yeah.
Will it be part of the notice of intent?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
can I just
okay,
see
so
the-
the, yeah, no,
Rather than cut it up.
yeah, but I want you guys to say it, I don't want to.
It's going to be, so they were asking whether the work is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and requires the filing a notice of intent. So your positive 3 would say that the work is described, is subject to the act and will remove village road or alter that area, and therefore it requires a notice of intent. Let me just also see. And also positive 5, that the work is within the wetland bylaw.
Okay.
So positive 3 and positive.
So I'm going to amend my motion on Avery, 397 Berlin Road, that the commission deems it's necessary to get a notice of intent under section 3, positive 3 and positive 5. Second? So let's vote on the amendment that we did it that way. All in favor of the amendment?
Right.
All right, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Okay. So you have something for them to sign? or-
For you to sign.
Okay.
And then I'll send this out to you, Bruce. So just double X this.
You all need to sign?
Yes. And so Bob, I would just say, talk to Erica too.
Yeah,
When you know what you're gonna do for drainage.
yeah.
And find out what the process is for the special permit for the common driveway.
And again, I want to talk to the applicants about that too, to see what exactly we do want to do with drainage.
Yep.
Right, have a good evening.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
These are yours, Ken.
Yeah, you submitting, these for me? Yeah.
Is another continuation too? Yes, it is.
Content, yes. Okay, thanks.
Let me know when you're ready.
2 seconds. Okay.
All right, so we're going to continue the public meeting and notice of intent of Condyne Capital Partners LLC, 580 Main Street.
Again, Mark Dibb and Jeff O'Neill.
Welcome again.
Thank you.
We had our site visit last week on Tuesday. Carol can speak to the wetland flags and her, agreement or disagreement on where the flags are. But one thing I just wanted to, we did manage to get some historical plans. I just want to show you real quick because there was some questions when we were out in the field. This is actually an as-built from '89, which is essentially after the project was probably completed. Orientation, this is Main Street, this is the basin out front. It even describes, it must have been done in in winter times, it describes ice, and then it also describes wetlands, grasses, which is kind of what's out there now, that, that vegetation on one side, the water on the other side.
So Mark, was that, the front basin considered a wet basin, do you know, like by definition?
Yes.
I mean, I know that the back was, I did see that.
And the front is also, there's some, in one of the design plans, there's some specific requirements on the fire pump and stuff. It's designed to definitely hold water, be a basin that holds water. And it was not, there was no wetlands in this area prior to the basin.
Okay.
Just that was a question that came up. Back here, there was definitely some wetlands, a wetland line that kind of meandered through here, so the wetlands was on this side. You can see these V-shaped weirs that are designed as part of this basin. It's designed for the property. Again, it does sheet flow like we saw out there. There are some connecting pipes like we saw. There's that, this is that low.
Was that the IVW one? I never got to, I know that your consultant had identified a spot and you would ask me.
There's a drainage basin. It's clearly, there's an HDP pipe draining into it. It's behind the
I did not look at that.
other facility.
Senior Center.
Yeah, it definitely does have a drainage pipe.
But that's the IVW one you asked me whether
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get a
This
chance
was
to take
not
a look at that.
identified as anything, I guess. I don't even think any of the physical work is even within 100 feet of that. We can show it if we need to. So I just, I did get this from my surveyor. We actually hadn't had it to reference.
So,
What year was this?
89.
I also looked in our files, and I really didn't get much time to look at stuff, so I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I had some crazy days. So, anyway, I tried to get back to you like at 5 o'clock today, I still couldn't even get it out to you. But anyway, I'm not sure whether we ever had a certificate of compliance ever even issued for this, but there was.
The whole site for this?
Yeah. The commission had, from what I looked at, and it was really pretty quick looking at it, but the commission had IEP was the wetland consultant at the time, and they had come in and they did like water quality sampling. I think the commission had been concerned about the Great Brook and things like that. What else did I say?
That would have come up in a title search, though. The title of that, if that certificate wasn't closed out, we would see
Okay,
that.
I just don't remember seeing in our file.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is
Well, and
way back
sometimes,
when.
yeah, sometimes things get passed along too, and they don't come up, but maybe you guys more recently bought it then?
We bought it in '07,
Yeah.
so.
But anyway, it looked as though the commission had a lot of concerns about the Great Brook. It looked
Should've
like,
waited until 9. You saved a lot of money.
it looked like
Yeah.
there was definitely that wetland in the
Right.
back, and then the back basin was considered like a wet basin. I guess the thing that, having done the site visit, I was trying to kind of figure out, and I'm not sure that, I'm not an engineer in any manner, so I don't know, but the water, we talked a little bit about the Beaver Lodge out there. The water level looks like it's pretty high, and so I'm just not sure whether what was designed really functions the way it was designed and intended, and I just since there had been a lot of concern about, the impact of the project initially on the stream and on the wetlands and so forth, I would just want to throw that out that
Yeah.
I don't know whether what the design intended is protecting the resource,
Right.
adequately or not.
My concern last time, before I saw it, was that the detention basin would actually gain more water with the roof and being piped into it, and that was a concern, and after seeing it, I still have that concern.
Just for your information, these IEPs listed here as the delineation on the regular design, so.
Yeah, there was a pretty big file, so I really didn't get to look at it much, but and if you wanted, did you look at it, did you come in and do a file? review with me?
I don't think I went through your
No,
file.
okay,
specifically.
but if you did want to look at it, you could too. Are you going to recap a little more on the site
Yeah.
visit? Are you submitting those? Then you sent me.
You can have these, I can, I might as well give them to you.
That would be great. Not that I want more paper, but if we need to look at it, I'm not sure that my file really had the same thing, so I just want to make sure.
So again, at the site visit, we met over here in the parking lot and walked the limit of work out in the back. Also showed you where the footprint of the building is going to be. Described that, like, for instance, this walkway is all within that limit of work, which is primarily mowed grass in most areas. It's maintained. It's not disturbing too much natural vegetation to any extent, really, in any of the areas. We did discuss this parking lot. This is just the existing.
You have the nicest looking place. In the 40 years I've been in the commission, I want to let you know that.
We walked back to investigate this area as well. I think other than trying to limit some of the extra maneuvers, I don't know if we really had a decision on where we go with that direction. But we do need to maintain access both up here to get to the wastewater treatment plant as well as this one to the gardens.
Well, I know we talked a little bit too about, was it at the site visit, or maybe you told me later that you just got your site elevation plan, your site elevation information, so you said you were going to be filing with the planning board.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's some input that we talked about that we might want, like even that turnaround area. I think that's something that we need to find out from some of the other users. The community garden. One person was here from that, but since Park and Rec uses those fields, it would be just nice to coordinate it, and I haven't had a chance to try to do that yet.
Yeah, that's the next step to go hand in hand with the conservation filing is the selectmen, the site plan review, and special permit as well, but mostly site plan review to make sure how they...
Is it with the selectmen or the planning board, the site plan review?
Site plan reviews with selectmen, planning board has it seems that they have a pretty heavy say in it as well, so it's basically with both.
Because the other thing that I asked the town planner today, because, well, I asked her whether or not, you know, she thought it might be appropriate for the commission to have the drainage study reviewed, you know, or whether we should wait until things are filed with the planning board. But if it's going to selectmen, it might be better for the commission to have it reviewed and get that started, have our interests sort of looked at. Because we don't have a town engineer. So typically somebody outside does the review of the drainage information that's submitted. You know, and where, you know, we're talking about like that, what basin, whether it's functioning to be able to adequately take additional runoff, or even though you're doing a reduced peak rate of runoff and so forth. I think it would be good to get that input. I mean, I hadn't had a chance at the previous meeting to really look through the stormwater stuff, and I've done some of that, but some of the things the commission probably should be focused on as well would be, you know, is there 8 standards or 8 or 9 standards in the Mass Stormwater Handbook, and so if you are a new project proponent, you need to meet those stormwater standards. In their case, they're redeveloping most of the area, but some of the area is new, I think, right? You've got some new impervious area with the building that's not already built out. And I don't...
That's over here, isn't it?
Right, and then they're removing certain parts. So I know that the part that's within the pavement would meet the redevelopment. I'm not sure if the part that's outside of that meets it. But regardless, they're required, even as a redevelopment project, to meet the stormwater standards to the maximum extent practicable. So there's a lot of things that we talked about in the field, too, that would be helpful to, you know, to narrow in on a little bit. Like we talked about delineating sort of the natural grass areas from the landscaped areas and how we might want to see that so that we're not adding fertilizers and, you know, pesticides and things that don't have to be mitigated for in some way. We talked about potentially looking at whether the islands, at least some of the islands, could be sunken islands and be, you know, more like a rain garden kind of thing. That the stormwater report talks about a vegetative filter strip, but in the field we could see that it really wasn't much fun. And whether, you know, whether that's really the best solution, you know, to have a filtered vegetative buffer strip, or whether there's some other BMP or technology that would work better for the parking lot, you know, than serve the wetland better. You know, and I know some of those are costs, they run, you know, based on some of the costs, there are things you might want to do that are easier or not. I think what Bob talked about, the roof drainage, I mean, to me, in the field, that looked like it was directly going into the wetland as delineated. And that at least some of that should be able to be recharged, if not, you know, all of that, without going directly even to the wetland. And I haven't really focused in on your roof design and whether or not there are pollutants associated with it, but that would be, you know, part of the concern. What were some of the other things we talked about? Well, Bob, you brought up...
The sheet flow.
Yeah, and you...
Just in general, the sheet flow.
As far as the standards go, I'd say that if there's one that's not fully met, it's definitely the sheet flow, the existing sheet flow, the proposed sheet flow.
Well, the recharge, I don't think, was met.
Okay.
And I don't think, you didn't check off anything in that one.
Okay. We can, recharging assuming we can tie all the roof drains together, a system in this area might be...
Do they need to be all tied together? Or is that from a maintenance standpoint?
True, they could, you could do smaller dry wells around this.
Or, you know, you talked about having gardens. I mean, sometimes people will use that as, you know, some drainage for the gardens.
I'm not sure if everybody's seen this plan. This is a plan that delineates that grass versus natural area, this dotted area. is...
Well, it shows it on the plan, but in the
Right.
field,
You
in real
can-
life, we didn't know how somebody would
like a post and
manually,
rail
you know.
fence or something, but basically this coming around here.
Well, or plantings, sometimes people use, or other ways to, you know, and it doesn't have to all be necessarily the same, although it might help a management company to know. I thought Bob had also asked, you know, whether the grading needed to go as far out as it was going.
Right.
Whether there were alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, the grading was actually trying to, by grading some areas, was trying to not have to grade,
Oh, as far out to the,
yeah, where that one well is, it's kind of a high point. Grading this slight swale coming around here allows that to stay unmaintained. So the proposal behind the grading was to actually reduce the amount of grading, in my opinion, to try to reduce the amount we need to not have to cut down that high point so that we don't have a low puddle basically behind the building. It was to try to create a swale out this way to the low point on the other side of the property, or the other side of the building.
and so when we get into sort of the final review of stuff, we typically, again, if that's not going to be just grass, or if the commission was looking for it to be something other than grass, you know, we would get those kind of details. And the O&M part, I didn't really get to go through the O&M part of your stormwater report that thoroughly either. But, you know, that's certainly a major part of the whole thing, and, you know, and knowing that stuff is going to be maintained.
Right. And we'd like to know what practices are for the parking and for the grass. Are you going to be using fertilizers, you know, so it goes to the wetlands and it's going to sheet off into it and things of that nature?
Okay.
So we'd like to see some sort of, you know, best practices plans for the property.
And they do have some of that in their stormwater report, which I emailed to you.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a little ways to go on some of them.
And for your information regarding the parking, the existing building is overparked. It's at a ratio of almost 1.63 square foot per, it's almost 50% more than it needs to be. So we're allowed to remove some and add this building and
Yeah.
still meet zoning
Okay,
requirements.
because we talked about that, how many...
But it will be right at the minimum.
Yeah.
Per this proposal, we're coming right down to the minimum. So,
If it were fully
Oh, sorry, say that
occupied, would
again?
that
The
change
min
it?
for what, though? The min for the office building or the new development?
Together.
overall together.
Together.
We can't impact the number of parking spaces at the office building. I mean, it can't happen. What happens, if we limit that, we limit a tenant that potentially has the capability coming in. Could be anybody. And we've just taken that away.
Well, this is my question about it's overparked relative to the current occupancy,
Yeah, but we
or,
can't- go
per
ahead.
zone.
or is it overparked relative to a full occupancy?
Or was there another
It's-
building? I thought that.
It's
there was
overparked
another
per
building.
zoning.
Right.
Say, what is it again?
But that's something that we never want to take away from, because that limits the marketing of any potential tenant
All right,
that
that's
can
fine.
locate the bowl. You know, that has an impact.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, so, one of the reasons that came up was to
Yeah.
talk about whether or not the vegetative strip could be increased, which may or may not be the most suitable design, honestly. I mean, now that I've looked at the
Along
vegetative strips,
here.
because it's so flat, I mean, it may not really function that way, so maybe infiltration in some other way would be more suitable for you, your purpose of not losing parking spaces and other, you know.
Yes, we're at the,
I think the other thing is, I mean, with your new parking, I don't know if there's other ways to do more porous pavement rather than having just all the typical pavement. I mean, I know, you know, there's been a lot of change in the technology of porous pavement, you know, and that might be something that, for that facility might be okay with a distance from the wetlands. I mean, I know sometimes the porous pavement, you know, you still could have potential with leaks and other stuff getting into the ground, so that's not always a great thing. But it's an option again to consider.
yeah, so we definitely, we're not proposing to remove, you know, reduce any more, that's for sure,
Okay.
any more parking. And we actually, we have a need for some more up front, but that's outside of, there's no could seek that through planning or something.
Well, would that drain to the wetlands?
It would have its own, it would drain to the front basin.
So that would be jurisdictional.
Yeah, because then the front basin goes into the wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, at this point, we're not proposing, but we.
Right, well, just bring it up now so it's not forgotten. I mean, the drainage ties in, whether it's within the 100 feet, if you're changing the drainage, you might be having impact on the wetland itself. Which, years ago, again, if they were created as wetland areas, they don't really meet the standards of the state for being just detention basins, that are not regulated. So I know when we were in the field, we talked about, we had town meeting, coming up, and then you were going to be filing with planning board or with the selectmen, and that it would be good to try to get everyone's input. So I guess I thought, hopefully out of tonight's meeting, maybe we could at least decide whether you did want to have an outside engineer review the drainage report, and whether you wanted to give any further direction to try to get input from the rest of the town departments before they have to keep.
I'd like to see an updated drainage report, and I'd also like to see what else you're going to do to mitigate what's going into the wetlands.
So would you rather wait to see further design before you'd send it out?
What's that? That's the question.
I mean, the planning board is gonna, one of the boards is gonna have a
Right.
consultant review, right?
Right. And what the town planner said to me today, she thought it would be appropriate for the commission to start the review. If they, the planning board or selectmen, wanted to review it for components that were not the same that we were looking at it, then presumably they'd probably use the same consultant and, and ask the questions related to their concerns.
Who's the consultant?
We don't have a consultant. We would have to hire somebody.
Who do you must have an engineering firm that usually goes.
Well, usually we haven't had a lot of commercial projects, right? So it's mostly been subdivisions, and with the subdivisions, typically it's been run by the planning board doing it. They have a consultant that they use a lot in the field. I don't know whether he's available to do project review or not, but anyway, that's Hamway Engineering. And we've, then we usually put it out, if it depends on the cost, like if it's anything, we usually try to get 3 bids. And so we have used other ones, but we don't have one particular firm.
What we usually do is we suggest 3, and you can choose the one that you want.
Well, then the commission chooses it. It's the commission's choice when you hire an outside consultant.
It is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
We have had people argue to not use certain consultants, but it's the commission's choice.
Well, we will, you don't have enough physical hard copies to submit anyways to the consultant, so we'll provide you, if we feel can make some changes prior to providing that, we will do that, or we'll submit the plans that we want reviewed to you, and we'll start it through conservation.
Okay, so, do you think we should continue the meeting till our May 20th meeting then, or do you think we're going to need more time and go to the first meeting in June?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you're skipping a week anyway.
Well, I'm just trying to get, if you're gonna give me new designs or whatever, I don't know how long that'll be.
Let's go with May 20th, and if we just have to,
Yeah, I mean, that could, if you did give us new stuff, I guess I would have to start going out to bid with what I have, so
Okay.
we have to decide whether you're submitting anything new, probably.
Let's go out to bid with what we have.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Right, so we continue to May 20th. So the last one is at 7:30, we can do 7:30, we're gonna make it a little later, because that's the common driveway.
No, we didn't do that. We
Oh,
we told them they needed to do it.
Oh, yeah, they gotta submit, so the other one is,
7:15.
yeah, so I guess we could
So,
do
yeah, we could do
7:30.
I'm just trying to think if I think I have everything electronically,
pretty sure
because you gave me these plans too.
Yeah, the set of
Okay.
plans, and I
Yeah.
believe you have that.
So I mean, so we would probably want a hard copy, but I could start it with the electronics, so,
Okay.
okay. 7:30.
So that consultant would review this existing setting
Did look at the notice of intent with the drainage
for that May
report.
20th meeting?
Well,
Or
that
is
would
that-
be,
Whenever he
the-
gets done.
that would be the goal, but, you know, I don't know, depending on how quickly I get responses and with their schedule and so forth too. But what we usually have to do is we find out what their bid is. And so actually, that's what, we haven't done it in a while. So we usually, in the past, when the commission's done it, we found out what the bid was and then had you agree, you know, to the amount. I don't know if the planning board does that at their meeting or whether they just discuss it over the phone. I don't know whether you have an issue or if you've done it one way or another someplace else.
Normally, we don't have any say, but
Yeah.
Usually, we've received the bids and taken a look at the bids, if it's a 3-bid process.
Okay.
And
if
then
there's
go from there.
multiple.
Okay,
Now,
so then we
whose
wouldn't...
decision is it
It's
to
the
choose?
commission's
That's the
decision.
question.
It's the commission's decision based on the Mass General laws
But you
for
can have
hiring an
input.
outside consultant.
You can have input.
Well, we can have a discussion, but it's up to the
Right,
commission.
that's input, that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. So that's what we would probably do at the May 20th meeting then, if we're not, because we can't, the commission can't decide who to award it to unless they, yeah, I mean, that's how it's been done.
But you can't get bids earlier than that? You can get bids earlier than that.
I can get bids and we can discuss it at the May 20th meeting. But whether they will have reviewed it or anything, that nobody's going to review it until the commission's hired them.
And we have to wait till the meeting to hire them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think typically that's how it's been done, but I don't, I guess I'd have to,
Because the only one we had was on the wetland lines. It was the only time that we brought an outside consultant since I've been on this, and I forget which project it was. And we had 3.
well, we've gone out to bid on other projects since I've been here, but it
Not
hasn't
since
been in
I've
a
been.
while. And as I said, that most recently it's been done through the planning board because it's all subdivision, you know, so we were piggybacking on them, and that was kind of how it was done. I will double check with the town administrator on the bidding process for this kind of a project, whether or not it needs to wait. But I don't know that, if the commission wants input, they can't really do that until they meet. They can't do anything offline.
Yeah, we can't discuss anything inside of this.
if that's the procedure. But if, you know, if I submit to planning board and they have a faster avenue of
Yeah,
approach.
I mean, we'll try to work on it together, but I don't think that they have, I mean, I don't know that they have anything any faster, and I'm sure Erica, being new, is not familiar with their process either.
Okay.
So they just have to sign to continue the meeting.
Well, we haven't made much headway tonight.
Well, we
We're
talked
gonna go
about it
hire a
that way at the
consultant.
site visit a little bit. I mean, I kind of
You know?
expected that we would recap and then,
We thought there'd be some progress from
Progress,
General
there's 5
discussion.
or 6 items that we should be, you know, you know, you guys went through on the site. So, instead, we're gonna hire a consultant.
well, if you want to do some redesign before you do that, that would probably be as productive as anything. I mean,
We'll look at that, we're on for the 20th meeting.
yeah.
Yes,
So,
either way.
in whatever way, we're gonna get the bids from the consultant, either way, we have to use a third-party consultant. Is that right?
Yes.
So at that point in time, we'll either have the updated plans, if we're gonna change anything.
Actually,
So when
being
you're ready
that
to
the
go to
case,
bed.
we probably do have time to
Yeah,
regroup a
so,
little bit. And,
I mean, I can start with what we have, and then if you submit other information, then we can see if we can add on to that. I mean, then, you know, it changes their bid, so.
We shouldn't change it.
Why don't you and I
Yeah,
talk,
yeah.
after I talk to the town administrator and to Erica, and make sure we're clear on how the process is going to go. But I'm pretty sure that we will need whatever package that they're going to bid on to be the same thing that each person looks at. And if I start with what we have, then there'll be an add-on cost, you know, that will come in after that.
It was nice to see you again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month.
Yep.
Did we open these last time, because they weren't here? We never opened it. Because they weren't here, so we
So it's
didn't
not
open
really
it.
related, isn't it?
So why don't
So
you
we have to
open
open
them?
it?
Yeah, because I don't think you did.
Do you have the sheet?
Sure. Just change the time, I mean, change the time and date.
Okay.
First.
Isn't it amazing how our personalities had to get out of the room so quickly?
No, it took us about an hour to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's, The Bolton Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting under the provisions of the Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Wetlands Protection Act and Riverfront Act, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Section 1.18, to consider a request for determination filed by the Knox Trail Boy Scout Council for construction of a new lifeguard tower and relocation of existing fence for Club Adventure Day Camp at 129 Hudson Road. The public meeting will be held Tuesday, April 29th at 8 o'clock in the Houghton Building. Come on up. You must be with the Boy Scouts.
Yes, I am. My name is Hank Roush. I'm a volunteer with the Knox Trail Council. And we're looking to build a lifeguard tower over on Little Pond. Pretty straightforward. Aerial view that shows we've got a set of docks, there's a beach area. We're looking to build a tower that's nominally 8 by 8. It's 40 feet from the water line. The intrusion that we'll be doing is we'll be dropping 4 posts. It's a conceptual, maybe a kind of a framing diagram showing the posts. We'll be dropping like 4, we've got to drop 4 posts down into the ground, in an 8-foot square, and that's about all of the intrusion. We're asking for determination of applicability. Of course, we'll have the contractor put up silt fencing and all those things as he works. Any excess fill that comes out of there will be hauled away and disposed in our parking lot, which is quite, parking lot's 300-400 feet from the pond, and it's.
But I think there's a stream that runs through the parking lot, isn't there?
No, it runs adjacent to this.
Because I was there for a walk last year, the year before, when you were changing one of the entrances.
Doesn't run through the parking, the parking lot is quite large. I think it shows on this.
I think there's a swale in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Parking lot doesn't show on here. If there's a swale way over on one end of the parking lot, and we'll stay away from that.
So if I remember the parking lot, if this is...
Let me see if I've got a drawing of that parking lot.
Is it the Boy Scout camp or this one?
This is the Cub Scout.
Cub Scout camp.
So
Is
the
that
one
the
you
one
get to
that I
the
did?
seafront, yeah.
All right, so if I remember, you had an entrance here, and you had an entrance here, and you wanted to close this entrance. And there was a stream that went here, and then came across here somehow, if I remember correctly. Because to close this entrance, we had to do a site walk there.
Right.
So I don't remember how far this went, whether it's just...
I mean, my memory is that the parking, this is a map, this is Hudson Road here, right?
Yeah.
This is the pond.
Yep.
And the parking lot is here.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a single-family house here. The outlet of Little Pond is over here, somewhere way over here, which is like quite some.
I know there's a stream that runs right
Maybe
down
a little-
here.
Yeah, there's a
maybe
wet
little
area.
swale
There's a
in
wet-
here, a little wet area in here, yeah.
Yeah, and it also goes in,
it's culverted
underneath the
under.
culvert into
Yeah.
the
Oh, it
middle.
does, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
aware
It was,
that there
it came before the commission maybe last
Okay.
year or the year before.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not sure that we want to store
But
the,
if you want us to haul the, I mean, we could
Is
haul
it
away.
sand? What are you
It's-
talking?
I
mean, aren't you
believe, I'm
digging
expecting it's gonna be sand. I mean, that whole area over there, the geology of the area, what we've been told.
But it's not within the beach currently?
It's right at the fringe of the beach currently. I don't know how deep the beach sand itself goes, but I've been told by some, we had some civil engineering work done around the pond, and I've been told all the area around that pond is all kind of a glacial till sand and gravel.
Yeah, that's different than beach sand now.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not-
so I was thinking it was
the
within the
beach-
beach, it's not, it's on the edge of the beach.
It's on the edge of the beach, but even in the beach area, the sand only goes, a foot
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
or something.
It was
like
all
that,
trucked
right?
in, I'm
So
sure.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
trucked in
coupled with the
sand.
platform from Ralph Beach sand.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
We just gotta dig deeper.
we understand, since we're building like I don't remember the dimension, the height of it, but it's on here. We've got to put down a foundation that goes below the frost line to hold up that.
So you're gonna pour a foundation?
the four
Well,
posts.
we're
Footings?
gonna pour 4 foot, we're gonna have to pour we're gonna put 4 posts down.
Yeah, so you're gonna, but those are gonna be concrete footings, the tubes, the solid tubes?
It'll have to be sonotubes or the like.
Okay, I thought you were putting wood posts just into the ground.
No, well, the wood posts won't last. So we would put concrete posts down.
Okay.
The total height of this thing, I don't think it shows on this plan, I think it shows on the other plan.
And what's the roof made out of?
The roof will be a tin roof. This roof here will be a 29 gauge plastic covered metal roofing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the actual height of the tower is 8 feet off the posts, 6 feet. So you got 14 feet to the roof line, you got 8 feet to the platform, got another 6 inches below that.
Mm-hmm.
So the platform's like 8.6, and again, it's 8 foot square. The only disturbance is the 4 posts.
And how are the posts going to be poured?
What they'll be doing is they'll core them out and they'll use there's a plastic form that you can buy that pours a footing and a post all in one piece.
But do you need to bring a cement truck down, or are they
They'll have to
hauling
bring a
it?
cement truck down and pour that.
They will need
They
to, so
won't
what's
import it.
what's the access?
There's basically an access over a grassy area. Excuse me, I've got to go look at this thing right side up to. There's access down to where it says Jewett Lodge here, and in this parking area, there's a road that goes all the way down to Jewett Lodge here. And we'd be going down over this grassy plain here. It's just a grassy field.
You don't have to remove any vegetation?
We won't be removing any vegetation, he'll drive right over it. It's a wild grass field. We use it as a baseball field, a hockey field, whatever, a field area.
And you're not anticipating any rutting that you'd have to repair?
I wouldn't expect to be any rutting when we're done. That's pretty heavily compacted area. Again, it's all sand and gravel with a layer of grass on top of it. We wouldn't anticipate any rutting. Would anticipate that he's had equipment in there before.
Anybody have any questions?
When are you looking to do it?
We'll be looking to do it before the end of June.
Because everything kind of dry out?
Yeah, things will be dry by the time we do it.
So
Some Junes it is.
It's some
Some-
you're not gonna have that much that you're taking out anyway. You're
No,
not just-
we'll just be coring out those holes, and if we need to dispose of that excess fill in another area, we can do that. We can truck it over to the other side of the pond.
Of course, the kids arrive in the end of June.
Our camp season starts nominally the first week of
Right.
July, so we'd like to get it done before that.
You just have to truck it so it's not in the resource area. The other side of the pond still could be in the resource area.
Yes, no, there's a large parking area over there that we would use it.
Okay.
Oh, there's holes over there that could be
There's
filled
holes.
probably.
All right,
I
so
would love to have a little bit of fill to.
so this sounds like a negative determination. What numbers do you
Yeah.
need? Does everybody agree?
Let's see. What did he ask? He asked whether the area was subject to the commission's jurisdiction, whether the work was, and whether the bylaw was. So,
The answer to those are yes.
yeah, usually you would say that the -3 with the work with being in the buffer zone, but will not alter an area.
Okay.
Okay.
So just a -3?
Yeah.
With condition.
Do you want conditions? Yeah.
Silt fence.
Silt fence?
That's fine.
And where the location of the gravel will be going, that's it. out of the,
You want to know the location ahead of time? You said the parking lot? You want to-
yeah, so I just,
We'll take it over to the parking lot on
Okay.
at the Boy Scout camp.
at the Boy Scout
So
camp.
you can excess
Excellent.
material to parking lot on the other side.
Yep. It's easy. That's good, thank you.
Any other condition?
Suzanne?
Do we have to make a motion on this?
Oh, I thought you just did. No, sorry.
No.
Okay.
I make a motion that we issue a negative determination, -3, with the conditions discussed, the silt fence, disposition of the excess materials, and the, that was it, wasn't it? Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Here's a second one too, right?
Yes, one of them.
We missed you last time.
Yeah, I apologize, we had some miscommunications
I guess
between
so.
some of our volunteers. One of the volunteers was to cover for me, and at the last
We
minute,
waited till 4 AM because it was the Boy Scouts. We were sleeping on the floor
sorry about
here.
that. Appreciate your forbearance.
We'll have to be of service. All right, the Bolton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaws, Section 1.18, to consider request for determination filed by Knox Trail Council, Boy Scouts of America. Oh, this is for construction of a pavilion at the E. Paul Rosensham Scout Reservation, 75 Hudson Road. Meeting being held on Tuesday, April 29th. Do I have to give the actual time now, or the time was scheduled?
You can do it now, you're opening it now.
8:45 PM. Yeah, let's hope this one is as easy as the last one.
I don't know if you're familiar with me, again, this is the Boy Scout resident, so-called resident. This is Route 85. This is the main entry road. Nominally 75 Hudson Road is the nominal address of that
Yeah.
entry road. Bolton Town Beach is here.
Yeah,
Back here, there's a railroad grade. It used to be the Hudson and something Railroad. I can't remember which railroad it was, but there's still a trestle area back there.
it lasted
so-
for like 2 days or something.
Yeah,
It was very short life.
There's like a
railroad.
6 or 8 foot high trestle area back there.
Yeah.
And this is a gravel road that leads back into the back areas of our property.
Mhm.
And this is now a large open field,
Mhm.
where we, over in an area over here, we have a rifle shooting range. We have a building that we use for rifle shooting, and
Mhm.
and we have an area that we've been using for archery shooting. It's a large open field.
Mhm.
And we're planning to put up an open pavilion, basically a 15-foot by 70-foot concrete slab. And then over top of that, we would build a building.
Did you say 70 foot?
Yeah, the slab is 70 feet long, 15 feet wide, nominally a 6-inch thick
So you're
slab.
just gonna have a roof over it?
And we're just gonna put a roof over, just an open,
And the
timber
roof is-
frame roof. The roof is metal roof.
Same roof as the...
Same roof as we've been using, like a 29 gauge plastic or some kind of plastic covered roofing.
So I'm not quite clear what you're saying on the roofing. I didn't quite get it on the other one either. Is it the frame is metal and the roofing's plastic, or are you using a
The,
metal roof? And I ask that because metal
Framing
has,
is wood, I think.
corrodes and has other pollutants that come off of metal.
Again, the frame, you're talking, you're gonna drop posts
Yeah.
underneath the support post. You're gonna pour a slab, and outside the slab, you'll put posts. And then, you'll have posts coming up, trusses, then on top of the trusses, with basically a 6-pitch, we'll put a corrugated metal roof. Similar to what's used on barns and buildings, and the corrugated metal has on it, it's got a plastic coating on it to extend the life.
Oh, so the plastic it's a coating, is what you mean?
Yes, I can give you more, I don't remember whether I have more. we have some more detail in here.
It's pretty commonly used.
It's commonly used, we use it on the other pavilions over there. I don't know if I have a spec sheet on it or not.
I'd be interested.
So how close is it-
About the metal, and whether it corrodes, but if you've got the
It
plastic
doesn't.
coating,
It's coated metal, it doesn't corrode.
How far from the wetlands is it?
What's shown on here is wetlands it's at least, it's in the neighborhood of 400 or 500 feet. Okay, a distance from where we're talking about building this to where you see this
big
this area
swamp.
is indicated as big swamp.
Yeah.
And you're probably 200, 250 feet from this kind of a, when you go over this railroad grade, it goes down pretty steeply, and there's a small wetland area.
So what's in our jurisdiction?
I don't believe that, I believe we're outside the buffer zone.
Well, I don't think you were clear that where the wetland was, because you thought that it might come up, that finger, right?
No, well, the wetland, I mean, I believe the wetland's all like 400 or 500 feet away.
I thought you told me that, I mean, we wouldn't have had you file if you were
Okay,
completely
I-
outside. I think, I thought you said
walked
that the wetland came up that finger, and you weren't really, I mean, I thought
No,
that was.
I've been
part
out
of
there
it.
and walked that, and there's, the wetland is quite some
Oh,
distance.
before you came in to see me, had
It
you
might have
not
been after I
been?
came in to see you, I'm not sure, Carol, I apologize if, because again, I'm not what you call an engineer.
Yeah,
At least
well,
it's
I guess, I
kinda
mean, if I'd known everything was more than 100 feet away, I probably would have said, but I guess it sounded like that maybe somebody should look at it then. I'm not completely clear whether
Maybe
that
let-
old map, whatever that is.
This map has no scale to it, right? So, I
And
mean,
no scale and no.
quite honestly, I don't have any maps that have a scale to them.
Should we take a quick peek at
And
it?
I'd be glad to go out there with you and walk it with you.
Because you may not need to even be
And
here.
if we don't need to be here, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of clarify whether we need to do anything.
Yeah, I remember, you know, what, you also talked about a latrine.
Yeah, I mean, if we...
Maybe that's where I'm confusing.
Carol, if we were to go look at it, it would also be valuable to look at on the other side of that gravel road. There's a latrine that we're going to rebuild that we just let a contract for, that the contractor is responsible for permitting, and he'll be in, if you want to go out there and walk it, or some folks want to do a field trip, we could cover both of them at the same time.
It might be worth doing that.
Maybe,
The latrine's an existing building that we're going to basically tear the building down, extend the slab that's there by 3 feet, and then rebuild a new building. So-
well, I don't think we want to do the other site walk till we have the plans.
Well, it's on the way. I mean, it's within the
Maybe-
same.
Maybe we could do it before, because if it's that far, we may not all need to be there. So we could just take a quick peek before on next Tuesday, anybody that wants to show up at like 5:45 or something?
Well, next Tuesday's town meeting,
I mean, the week after.
for the 13th, before we do the
Yeah.
other site visit.
Yeah.
So did we decide we're doing Anymore first? No, we were doing Anymore second.
We're doing,
So can you drive in to the site?
Yes, you can. I'd be glad to meet you at the front gate and go in there with you to show you where we're talking about.
Yeah, I think we'd get lost.
all right, 5:45 on the 13th.
Barely get down to
You want to make it
the
earlier?
place on the other side of town if we leave there
Let's
at
make it
5:30.
5:30.
Yeah.
Let's make it 5:30.
On the 13th, that'd be great.
And if you can't make it, it's probably going to be just to say, yeah, it's not in our jurisdiction.
Very good.
Does he have to sign a continuation because we're doing the
Yes.
site walk?
Yep.
No, that's fine.
And then at the 20th, you'll continue the discussion on whether or not it's jurisdictional or not.
Maybe the black flies will still be out there. Something's out there, yeah, it's nasty.
They've only been, they were all over it yesterday. They weren't out today.
Yeah, they weren't out today, it was too cold.
Yeah, I was not.
So with
I don't have to
Condyne,
be.
do you want to put this for 8 o'clock? We put Condyne at 7:30?
Yeah, let's say 8 o'clock, but he may not even need to come in.
Right.
No.
So we can let you know what that site visit.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's a good time of year to know that.
So it's just continuing the meeting.
Yes. That was just in the house.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a great evening.
Nice working with you. Thank you very much for your help.
I'm trying to not turn our heat back.
So now we have to do the North Woods subdivision, request for certificate of compliance. And I spoke to Carol today, and she went out and did an inspection.
Yep.
let her report on it.
So I did an inspection with Brandon Ducharme, actually, I think maybe before our last meeting, a couple of weeks ago, because Chuck Black had thought he wanted to come in and meet with you at the last meeting. He was the developer of Kendall Homes. And they had completed all the work within our area of jurisdiction, which was the outlet of Fieldstone Circle they'd removed the erosion control there, and we did find that they had already put the riprap in place. When I visited it earlier in the season, which I may have reported on already at that time, must have been February-ish, it was all in snow, so we didn't know whether they had completed that work, and Brandon didn't have a record of it to say one way or another. Then we looked at, on Ledgewood Circle, there's a infiltration forebay before the wetland, the water from the roads runs off into a ravine area. And oh yeah, it's up behind you. Yeah. We looked at that when you and I walked, and then I looked at it in sometime with Brandon in the snow, in the winter, and then just more recently, a couple weeks ago. So one of the things that we talked about at that basin was there was a lot of tree growth in it. And there was, the outlet structure didn't look like it had been maintained. The O&M plan was for the slide slopes of the basin, the forebay to be maintained, and the outlet structure looked like it needed to be done. Anyway, they've done all that. They've removed all the trees, and they've cleaned up that outlet area. And then we also looked at the dike that was created in the ravine to kind of hold, it was kind of a natural ravine that doesn't have a lot of flow and a lot of water, or at the time it didn't, now it's designed to hold some. Anyway, there was one tree standing on it that we didn't know why they had left that one tree standing, but anyway, I asked him to take that one down too, because basically it's like an earthen dam, so we didn't want to have to go in, and the town didn't want to have to take the trees down and have that expense. So those are the things that were completed that were within our jurisdiction. And so I would recommend we issue the certificate of compliance. I think the planning board's still working on a conference with them.
So I'll make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for Northwood subdivision off Water Road.
Under both the bylaw and the Wetlands Act?
Under both the bylaw and the Wetlands Act.
I kind of just checked one of the things there. I want to see if there were any continuing conditions.
Yes.
No, I didn't have any continuing conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to check one thing before I have you completely do that. Because I would have thought the O&M plan would have continued, so I just want to double check.
I'm thinking. We got a lot to do yet.
All right, I think you can sign it. Why don't you pass it around? And I didn't have anything typed in, so I presume I should all that.
There's two of them to sign?
What? Both of them, yes.
They must be excited about turning this road over to the town.
Okay, yeah, I don't see anything.
But we also had a request specific of compliance from Nichols.
Oh, but I didn't ask her that one.
Oh, they're not covering it?
No, because I sent them a letter from the last meeting, just letting them know that the silt fence hasn't been removed.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
they haven't
trash
done
and
it.
debris.
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything back yet.
So, Fireside Dam, we did,
Yeah, there was just one update on that.
did we sign the contract?
Yes.
So that's,
No, actually, we didn't, we awarded the contract.
we awarded the contract, okay. And bills,
I don't have any new bills.
so we do have Um,
wait a minute, so we awarded the contract for the dam,
Yes.
so do they have a time frame for when they're going to start?
Well, what they told our consultant is they were thinking the end of May.
Oh,
Originally in February or January when we did the bid award, when we did the contract, when we had them submit their bids, I think they thought they wouldn't start until May 15th at the earliest, because that's when the Heritage Program had sort of regulated it.
I see.
But so it sounds like that's their anticipation. They have to, now that we awarded it to them, they have to get back to us with several things, bonds and insurance and all their forms. So that's on their end at this point.
So in the bills and correspondence, the only thing is we have to approve the language for the sign.
Well, I had a couple of announcements, sorts of
Okay.
things to discuss, I guess. So Houghton Farm sign, I sent that out to you. Did anybody have any changes for the language? Okay. So what the developer, Bob Kiley, is going to hire the same guy that we've used to make the sign, so. So I also wanted to just make sure you were all set for me to, I don't remember if I talked to you about doing a work party at Bower Springs. Does that ring a bell with any of you?
There's an email.
And I did it in an email? Okay. So, what I've started to put into place is that I had asked at the Conservation Trust annual meeting if they would put a sign out and see if there's anybody who wanted to do it, and sort of as a memorial for Rob, or, to sort of honor the tradition that he had of doing the work parties. I also talked with our consultant that we use to do the management up there, and Jim Henderson and his wife, and he recommended that, I asked him whether or not he'd be able to sort of help guide what needs to be done, because I haven't been that involved with the on-the-ground, management aspect. And so he's going to come out and walk the property with me, and we're going to have have the public who want to join us on the 10th from 8 to 12. So we would be hiring him to help us with it. Okay. And if any of you want to do it, join us, that would be great. Because we don't have a lot of equipment, people are going to have to bring their own gloves and clippers and, saws and stuff like that. What did you say?
The last time we did it was myself, Jeff, and Kevin.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I did get some people signed up from the trust, so I just need to get the date out there to
I
them.
don't
Make
know
sure.
who Jeff is, so.
Her husband.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Well, we had a lot of damage, from ice storms
Ice
and,
storm,
yeah.
taking down trees, because I
Yeah.
don't have a chainsaw.
right.
We'll see if we can get both Jeff and Kevin again.
Yeah. Kevin just goes by faster waves.
He doesn't want to stop, then.
And then I also wanted to announce that, again, I think we had talked about it, but Thursday night, the selectmen have on their agenda talking about Tennessee Gas Pipeline, and so I was asked to attend it, and I think it would be great, since the commission voted to not sign the survey, if somebody from the commission was present at least.
I'm definitely going.
You're gonna
And
go?
Carol sent out some information,
Right.
I decided to look at that tonight.
and I read this for dinner. I had a glass of low-calorie, low-fat chocolate milk, and I read this. I scanned it. And the scary thing is, if we don't act right away, we have no say almost. And we need to act, but a lot of state laws can be preempted, except for the wetlands protection. So
No,
if it-
I thought that one could be too, no?
it can be by the state. The state can agree to it.
Yeah.
And so I think we want to start getting talking about it and see if we want to make this, because no one seems to be talking about it in town, and maybe we need some publicity or
Well,
something.
that's part of what has happened, is that, we reported to I reported to the town administrator that, the commission did not want to vote to sign the
Yeah.
survey. And I said, I think it would be helpful if we had some greater discussion about this. And then there have been, some people have been approached by Tennessee Gas, and they have also brought that information to the town and gave me all this kind of
Right.
background information, which I've just started to distribute. I got most of it yesterday.
But it was interesting because this attorney, Carolyn Elephant, or Elephant, however you pronounce it. I think it says elephant, but, because it's not an O, it's an A. Yeah. She specialized in this, and she said that maybe we don't want to fight the surveying, because that will give us a better idea. Because it's very hard to stop them the way the law is written. And you're dealing, if you're disputing it, you're dealing with a bureaucratic organization in Washington that doesn't know about your community, doesn't have staff to care about your community. And on top of that, they can take things, they condemn your property and take it by eminent. And so...
Well, there's other things in there that are in some of the information too, though, that talk about, you know, I mean, well, let me go back and say, one of the things that I think we'd be benefit by is having some information presented to us and have
Yes.
some information, you know, some public discussion on it, so you can ask questions. So I've been asked by Nancy Case if the commission has questions, you know, it would be helpful to get questions out there so that, you know, there's got to be other people asking or wondering about the same thing. So the questions about the survey, is it better to work with people now on that, or say no now and you know, argue for concessions later, you know, so.
What she says is best practice is to, which wasn't my first reaction, was to deal with them up front, so that you get all the information, so if you don't like what you see, you're at least involved in the
But they had
process.
told us that they couldn't come to a public meeting, so all you had was what they gave you. You know, they
But
had
now
the
they're coming
sheets.
to the select.
Well, no, not yet. Now the selectmen are just having a discussion about it.
Mhm.
And I think what we need to say is that, you know, we have concerns that we'd like to have discussed publicly.
Right.
You know, and that, and so what Don said to, Bob had come in to talk to me today, and he mentioned this, and Don said that a public relations person had been in to see him yesterday, and that he was going to recommend that, you know, the selectmen have him come in and talk at their meeting. I don't know if that's enough of what we're looking for, or whether having other people who have gone through this, or like Mass Association of Conservation Commissions is looking into it, the Mass Land Trust is looking into it. You know, there's other organizations that the Conservation Law Foundation is one of the resources, you know, for people to ask, you know, questions. So I think, you know, it's a fairly big deal that, you know, it shouldn't necessarily be 10 minutes on a selectman's agenda to have an opportunity to have somebody present something and have a question and answer, which maybe after Thursday they'll think of having some other kind of presentation, but.
So one of the items on the selectmen's agenda was to talk about Bolton being supplied with natural gas. Is that the Tennessee Valley guy who's coming to talk to them?
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to be supplied.
No, this Thursday night he's not.
It's on the
No,
agenda.
I don't.
For the selectmen meeting.
Was it at 7:15?
I forgot what it's in there.
Yeah,
I
but
forgot
to
what time it
be,
is.
if you
but
think
it's in-
about it, to be supplied with natural gas, you would have to pipe the whole town,
That's right.
and it's an impossibility, so because I have land
Then why is it on
that the
this?
pipeline runs through that I own, and I was out of town, they called up and they
Yeah,
asked
I remember.
my office if I'd be interested in having natural gas in the house.
Right,
So
so-
they lead with that, but when I asked the guy the question, he said no.
Well, I'm just asking, why is it on the selectmen's agenda?
Well, it's on the selectmen's agenda, I think, as we requested to have discussion, but I'm not aware
I
of
see.
anybody coming in
So it's not like
this
they've
Thursday
approached the
night.
town?
No, somebody did yesterday go in and talk to the town administrator, but this is the first discussion the selectmen will be having about.
They want to
that.
pipe the gas to places, they want to build natural gas electric generation stations. And that's what it's for. It's not for to heat your house with. They say that at first, but when you say, when you ask them about it, they say, oh, no, that's not true.
We don't have the density to make it economically worthwhile.
They're not going to do it for anybody here. They just want it for, you know, heating stations. I mean, for a generation of electricity.
Anyway, there's, the information that we're starting to pull together is all very interesting, and, you know, we should review it. And, you know, and we should have some discussion with the selectmen about, you know, our concerns with the properties that they've identified, you know, and why we said that we didn't want it to be surveyed, you
Yeah.
know? And then we should also decide to learn more and ask them to support that as well.
So
Right.
did you get a chance to look at the vernal pool issues?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I don't know how they would necessarily be protected one way or another if they came in and said this is a public project and, you know, it's for the good of the public and it has to be done, you know, whether they would avoid them or not. But I did go out and look at the vernal pools. Janet went out and looked at them on Monday as well. So they're not certified at this point. We just started the process of looking at them, but
How many other?
at least 3. We only had time to really do 3. Yes, yeah, we did 3.
Right.
And then there's 4. I think there's another one that she looked at.
We don't know enough to even ask questions yet. So, I mean, that's the point why the attorney said you want to participate. You don't agree to anything, but you participate and see what's going on. And they do, what she said, they do lots of surveys. And you might think they're going through your land and they go through somebody else's. And she said they've already put millions of dollars into people that are holdouts and won't grant rights so they can go and take it by eminent domain. That's all part of their plan. So,
But you know, the other thing is though, Bob, that they've also said, if, like on the Mass Plan website, at least, and again, I haven't read into it in depth, but it's not even clear that Massachusetts wants this. Like, so there's doing this study part for the Northeast expansion as well as doing the Worcester lateral. But it's not clear that Massachusetts has even, like the people are writing letters to the governors now, or to their legislators. And there's, you know, all these people throughout, all from the Berkshires to Drake, you know, who are being affected. And
Yeah.
towns, so Ashby had a resolution not to support it, you know, and had that big, had a big
Would we,
meeting.
and, you know, potentially approach Kate Hagan and
Yes.
Jennifer Flanagan?
we did, that's one of the suggestions,
with their
is
help
to
for
approach your
this.
local representatives.
Yeah.
And your representatives in Washington.
So, but we're starting, so that we're at the you know, the stage of they came, we had no information except for what they handed you, practically. And that I asked some questions, I had some answers, but they weren't coming to a meeting. Now we're going to a selectmen's meeting to go to the next level, right?
They've done this before.
Yeah.
They have a scheme to try to get through all the obstacles. And what this attorney says is you may not be able to stop them, but you might be able to mitigate some. Or they might, but they don't know which way they're going yet. So what they do is they look at a lot of options and then decide which way to go. And you have to have legitimate reasons because of the way the federal law is written to actually stop them. You can tie them up for a while, but you may not be able to stop them. But the only thing I'm bringing up is my initial feeling was to not let them do the survey, but maybe I want to agree to the survey so I can get more information. So if it...
But, Bob, I think if you want to agree to the survey, you may also want to agree to certain conditions of the survey, and we want to ask
That's
whether or
in
not,
that, right.
but we don't even know whether those would be honored. I mean, that's one of the questions, is, you know, if we said, you know, we don't want hydro drilling done during the breeding season, you know, we don't know whether they'll
Well,
honor those
that's a
things.
different step. So the first step is just a survey to see what...
No.
what
The
Yeah, I thought the
survey-
survey
the-
was actually going on the property.
Yeah, the survey is not just doing wetland delineation. It also, that sheet that they gave us says
Yeah.
hydro drilling.
Oh, they do
And
hydro drilling?
It says that that's
Okay,
part of the
because
survey.
I didn't get the sheet.
Yeah, you did earlier, a while ago.
No, I'm saying they didn't give me the sheet.
Oh, you personally, but
Yeah.
I did from the
Okay.
commission.
So all I'm saying is that according to what I've read so far, is we have to do this as a group, and we have to do it smartly if we want to mitigate this. But just saying we won't want it won't work.
The big business,
Yes.
big.
And they say the law that was passed gives them all sorts of loopholes to everything. So, I don't want it, but I'm saying it's not going to be easy.
Okay, I had one other announcement, it was really to talk about Century Mill, if you want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, let's do Century Mill so we can wrap up.
So Century Mill Estates, you know, I went out yesterday in part from our conversation at the last meeting, Bob had said that there was some silt fence that he wanted me to take a look at, and I hadn't been up to see, how the access was going and so forth. And when I went to the area where I thought the silt fence was of concern, which was Road C, so I actually brought the plans because Bobby told me that might be helpful. Since I lugged them all the way over here.
I think you need the plans to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's nice to go over there and not have to worry about running into anybody.
So,
See.
right here, yeah, so Spectre Hills Road's here, and so I came up and I thought the area that Bob was concerned with about some silt fence and so forth was over on this property. So I went out here and saw that they were logging and cutting all the vegetation within where the erosion control was, so all down to the edge of the erosion control.
In the resource.
Yeah, in the aura, the buffer zone, and then some trees were being felled right in the stream. So the trees were outside the stream itself, but they were felled into the stream. And the whole other side was cut. And so the first two guys I approached here wouldn't even talk to me. And so then I talked with a guy who was in the actual tractor with a grapple hook. And he said he had started over in here, and that he had to bring his equipment out to refuel and to fix something on the machine, and that it had started getting kind of mucky and wet in through there, so he had decided to come over and start doing the work over here. And I said, well, where's Andy? And what was the guidance? What were you told to do? And he said, well, I was told to, to cut the road and to cut the detention basins. So.
But I thought the whole point of making this path was to not come that way.
Well, so
It
did
wasn't
I.
allowed to come that way.
So did I, but I felt as though potentially there was some communication gap, and Andy was not that forthcoming at that meeting that we had with what he was going to do. He was going to cut some trees and he was going to move some dirt around. And they weren't, I couldn't remember distinctly, did he say he wasn't going to go on either side within the buffer zone or the or whatever. So I told the guy that I didn't think he was supposed to be working in that area, but that I did want to double check it with, since Andy wasn't on the site, whether I wanted to check it with his attorney, who was our representative, and with the chairman. So I called Alan and talked to him, and he said he did not expect any work in that area. And so I said, well, I told the guy, that I would call him back and tell him to stop if we were in agreement on that. And if I said I don't think I'd called Bob yet, and I said, and if the commission didn't think he was, then I'll still tell him to stop. So Alan said he would ask this woman who, I guess, works up at the trailer and is overseeing some of, the administration, to tell them that they had to stop. So anyway, I called him, he said fine, he would leave, he'd go work on another job, until it got resolved one way or another. So then Bob had wanted to come and see, actually Bob didn't end up coming up, but we talked about that I should go and take another look and take some pictures and get a sense of it. So I went out there, Jim met me today. I get there and there's a logging truck taking all the wood that had been brought up onto the road, and it was almost full. It was like their last 5 logs or something that they had left to go. And I was kind of concerned about walking around the truck, because I didn't want, he was swinging a bigger boom arm, so I didn't really want to go over there. So we walked around, we went down, I showed Jim all the cutting and everything, and then came back up and he was just finishing, so we spoke. And he said, that he was hired to remove the logs, and that he was out of New Hampshire, but he said he was working for Lepore, who was the contractor who was doing the logging. So I said, are you coming back to do anything else? And he said, no. He said, no, not until, there's more wood, really.
We've already cut all the trees in the resource area.
Yeah. No, they haven't stumped anything.
Yeah.
But they did have equipment, right down to the edge of the wetland. So there's blue flags that you can see in some places, you know, that delineated the wetland, but not really right at the crossing. And on the other side, we didn't get down actually all that far. We went a long way. We went, you know, all the way down and around and kind of up through, it's probably to about here today. But we didn't get down to the crossing part because they were working up in that section too.
So, did they take down more trees than necessary?
They're not supposed to take any trees now.
So
They took trees that were within the hay bale area on this side of, you know, the crossing. And basically, so if we go...
Remember, they couldn't start that work until
Yeah.
the dry season.
Because of the bridge.
What we agreed that they would do is they would
Go
go
around.
they would go around,
Which they did.
and they wouldn't cut many trees, and which they,
Right.
and they didn't
You said
cut many
hardly any,
trees.
you said you
But
did.
why would they start working on the crossing?
I'm sure it was a miscommunication, but it's still,
That's likely.
it's still a problem.
How many of those have been here?
Yeah.
So if you look at this
And
plan...
just one other thing, when he told us at the meeting that they were gonna go across that lot on the public land, they didn't have to go across very often. But from the pictures that Carol showed me, that it looks like they go back and forth a lot, because they're very deep ruts.
You said just one time?
And then and I asked him, he said, well, they gotta go get fuel and this, but they're going back and forth.
So I'm just going to point out on the plan just a little bit more clearly, what I could find in my records from the inspections that were being done by the planning board's consultant, engineering consultant, is that they stopped at essentially at station 460. Now, station 460, on this map, it doesn't look as though 460 up on the road is within the wetland buffer zone. But Bob said when he and Jim were there, that there was
Couple
all
weeks
kinds
earlier.
of, right when I went on vacation, and they were checking stuff out, that, that there was gravel and a big pile that looked like it hadn't, you know, that maybe it's been graded out further. And so like where I saw the truck today,
There were boulders there and
Yeah.
and a crusher. Now there's no crusher.
Because they crushed them.
They crushed them, and yeah.
And they pay, and they...
well, I didn't, when you were saying something about having seen that, I didn't realize it was at that spot.
Yeah.
Oh, because I mean, they'd had it up on other lots at other
Oh,
times.
no, it was there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now, we don't know if that was in the resource area. We couldn't
But
tell.
probably, it seems as though, you know, so the resource area, because where the silt fence start, I mean, silt fence and hay bales start,
That was.
is right
really
here.
up there.
The resource area comes up. So definitely they were cutting within the resource area. And
Well, the crusher
whether or not
the crusher was up in here somewhere.
Yeah, and that
But
may
I
have
don't
been
know if that's
outside.
resource.
Right, I don't know exactly where that was.
Yeah, I don't think the crusher was. But
But we
certainly.
didn't measure.
They brought a crusher in? So.
A rock crusher.
So as they find big rocks, they crush them as they go along? kind of thing?
Well, I'm not sure about that because today where Jim and I were walking, there's a huge field of rock. And, you know, as I said earlier, on another lot, as when they were doing the other road, they had a staging area where they crushed the rock and stuff. So I don't know.
They
if-
used that rock to build the road bed.
Oh, that's their base?
Yeah.
That's their base.
They probably have to add to it, but...
Right, I mean, I think that's
Up
the
where the
thing is
boom
that,
truck was,
that's
that's
been part of the problems, or not, I mean, I know that the engineering reports, sometimes he has had to tell them to take stuff out because it wasn't suitable material. I don't know in this case whether that was suitable one way or another. But, so basically, again, so if we say we're at Station 5, the wetland really comes up to the road part itself about 550, a little bit after that, and then this section of the road is all within the,
We didn't measure. But this is the crossing here.
yeah, but then this is the crossing, and they were down to the crossing. I mean, so you could see, you know, that the vehicle had been right down to this there. And as I said, we didn't really get to see on this side, but, you know, the wetland buffer comes up to here or something. So, anyway, you
So if we
know.
had to like restore that area.
Well, so I mean, that's the thing, Bob said, you know, what is
170
the sort of the penalty? I mean, it's an area that's ultimately going to be removed. I mean, it's all going to be changed and
Yeah, I
regraded.
remember them saying they were gonna go on that side, or it was just that they could go so far and not
They went past where they're supposed to go, like, all the way, they went all the way past. My feeling is Carol said, it's gonna be done, but when it's done, they're gonna have more silt fences, and the ground's not gonna be as muddy, because it's pretty muddy up there
Oh,
right
it's muddy
now.
up
So rain comes, that's gonna flow into the wetlands. My feeling is that I will not vote to, right now, I don't feel I would vote to grant him to go in any earlier. Because every time now, I don't think he did this on purpose, but it was a lack of oversight.
Yeah, one of the things that we observe over there today is that if they were going to do that, they would have the silt fences go 180 degrees from where they are now.
Yep.
To keep it from eroding down into the stream.
Like, it didn't seem so bad on the other side, based on the photographs that I took. The leaf litter looked fairly, dense, and there weren't any ruts or anything like that we could see. But, we were looking at 2 more days of rain. Had we not gone out there yesterday, and it's raining tomorrow and
It's gonna be a lot of
Thursday,
rain.
it would have been, it could have been really a mess.
It still might be.
And it still might be. So I did think, so there's a couple of things. Right now, the silt fence cuts across the stream, which is not serving any purpose because they're not working in that area. So I think that should be taken out until we allow work to go on. And I think that they should delineate the 100-foot buffer zone.
And put the silt fence going across. So
Well,
goes
a silt
into this-
fence, if we think the silt fence is needed, or snow fence, some visual barrier as to where the limit of work is.
But when you get to the stream, right at the stream where the crossing is, there's no silt fence there.
No, there should be something that runs
That's what I'm saying,
parallel
run
to the...
parallel to
yeah,
cut it off
right,
on both
right,
sides.
Right, but take it out going perpendicular across the
Is it
street.
supposed to be going perpendicular?
When they do the crossing work...
Well, wouldn't it be better just to leave it there and not disturb the soil?
Yeah, leave it there, but add the other.
I think they can take it out. It's not that deep and it's not that much, and it's not going to be for a while.
Okay.
And so that way there's not just
There's
this...
no obstruction.
No, they can do it manually. I don't think it's that kind of...
No, we have to tell them to do it manually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to tell them that. Because they're not going to do it manually otherwise.
I mean, I also think that...
They're going to bring in one of those mining machines, with the wheels taller than the ceiling. to do it.
Jim and I also went down to look at the area, where they were coming off of Road B, and I thought it looked like 20, 25 feet wide, sort of above
Was it wider than
where...
what we saw?
Maybe at the beginning it was. It looked more open than it was when we were. Once you started going down the hill, they had those tire mats.
It wasn't any wider than...
Because they had more
tire
time mats than when we saw it.
They had a longer run of them, but
Okay.
they weren't wider.
No, but they had a longer run
Yeah.
that went through the public land area, where there wasn't a cut path.
It seemed like the Conservation Commission shields to the left of where the mats were. So it looked like it hadn't gone on the public land.
So he was on
In
that person's
in some
land.
places, we don't have any of those
That's
markers, and so that was the other thing I wanted to recommend, is that they clearly delineate in here, this section where the open space is and where the buffer zone is, because there are some areas of buffer zone that come out, get my bearings. Where did I go? Attention. So they'd be coming up through here. This is open space. There is buffer zone. What happened, let me go back to this other sheet, which is 38. I didn't bring my iPad to show you the pictures, which it helped me sort of show Bob when I was trying to describe the work. So they are coming, here's the parking at the end of the cul-de-sac, you see that line?
Yep.
And they're coming up the Well Road, and then they're cutting in the Well Road.
They follow an old cut path.
An old car path or whatever. And so when, well, maybe it's more like over in here. and then they come over and they sort of hug this lot 56. But again, here you've got wetland right here. And so I can't really tell where this edge of wetland is. And as they come down here, this is where that wet area was, they put a pipe underneath here. So there is some wet area, and you can see it's low, it's a
They
flat
said that pipe
spot.
comes from that house up here,
I-
that that's their French drain.
Yeah, I don't know, it's an awfully long way from the house.
That's what I
think
thought,
it
but
looks
that's
as
what they
though-
said.
Well, I'd like to talk to them in the field to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Anyway, then it comes around and it kind of curves before it goes up the hill. And so again, I'm not exactly sure where this 100-foot buffer zone area is. And I think that they should clearly show that section, as well as, you know, showing where the open space areas are.
Because if you
it's
don't know
just
it,
not.
they're not gonna know it.
I don't know it. And it's not well marked. So, I mean, they did stake out, you know, where they were going, but it's not really clear when you're there today and where the equipment's going. And so yesterday when I was there, I had come up to this area to take a peek. I didn't go as far down because the time was running short, but, you know, I saw the excavator down in here, and today the excavator was up there, and this well road was a complete dirt mess. And I have all those pictures, and they had somebody sweeping it actually this afternoon as we
Why don't you
left.
send everyone a picture to how deep the ruts are from the
Yeah.
excavator?
Yeah.
They were sweeping the road?
They were, yeah.
Sweeping the dirt?
Yeah, well, blowing it, you know, trying to street sweep it.
They're just cleaning the road, they're pushing it off to the side.
Right. But, I mean, so it's obvious that it's, you know, stuff is coming in and out because it was a mess.
Now, those things use a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
Either have to
He
bring-
said he was gonna stockpile everything in there and not bring it in and out, and that's not true. He took,
Well, no, they have boulder fields and they have, I haven't seen anything come out of there.
do they have wood in there, all the
Well,
trees they cut down?
over on this other side. I
I'm
have-
talking about this
Oh,
side.
yeah, no, they have wood
Oh,
stockpiles
they do,
up
okay.
in there. Yeah.
But either they have to bring in enough fuel to
They have
keep
dirt
those fuel.
stockpiles?
Yes, we saw them moving.
One of the two has to happen. They have to bring the fuel in, or they have to bring the trucks out. To fuel the one way or the other.
Well, it'd be less, it would be more gentle to bring the fuel in, because they can do it, you know, with the pickup trucks with the little diesel thing in the back.
You know, it's
They're not
also,
quite as heavy as an excavator.
it wasn't completely
You know,
clear whether they're
5,000
using the
pounds or
mats the
50,000.
entire way within the open
The way
spaces. I just don't know where
that
that
He
is.
was only gonna do the mats where there wasn't carpet, Carol. That's what we agreed to.
Mats only where it wasn't.
Where there
clear.
wasn't cart path already. Now you can't tell, so.
Where he was going through town land. After that, he didn't need the mats. He
No, no.
just put the mats in.
Even on some of
And-
some of the town land, we agreed because they were cart path, you only need to do the mats where it was virgin ground.
Which may or may not have been a good idea since, you know, they're running it up so much, but,
Well, it's nowhere near as badly rutted as the area beyond it that doesn't have the mats.
right, where they're really
And-
working.
And they're not
the-
bringing
the
pickup
road.
trucks through there because it's so badly rutted, I'm not sure they could get them through there.
Yeah.
And besides, we only saw large tire ruts.
Right,
We didn't see,
not a little.
we didn't see anything that was.
Well, I saw excavator ruts in the pictures, you can see the
Yeah.
tread marks.
Right.
And that, the excavator's probably one of the heaviest pieces of equipment they bring through. I don't know what it weighs.
Next to the rock crusher.
So I,
I'm not sure the rock crusher one's.
you know, I talked to the new town planner because she's been somewhat stymied by the whole project because she's new here and there's been like, it's just been a very hard thing to get around, like how things are supposed to be working. And what she had asked for many weeks ago was, you know, like, let's set up some site visits, you know, and have some regular, you know, site visits. And that now Andy's away, so he's away until the weekend. So he had called her, I think, last week before he left to say something about wanting to, you know, when he got back to establish this kind of stuff. But you know, she suggested today, you know, there really needs to be a point person on the site. We're not communicating directly with him. Alan's great, you know, for what he can do, but he's not there. You know, and they need to either have a clerk of the works or someone that we can go to, you know, with who's
Like
going
the
to
lady
be.
in the trailer, somebody.
Yeah, someone, you know, who you can, you know, who's in charge and who you can meet with and, you know, not feel like you're going to be bullied and everything else, but that you can have, you know, a reasonable conversation with. Anyway, so that's something that she, I think, thinks we should.
We're still
probably
upset
do.
to hear all this.
Yeah, well, a combination of, one, to see that they're doing work that, in an area we didn't expect. Two, I was virtually ignored by a couple of the people when I asked them questions about it. And then, for you to go again today and see that they're still, after I said no word.
When do we expect him to come back to us? I mean,
We can call him in.
I guess the thing is that maybe we should put it in writing at this point, you
Yes.
know? You know, what we've observed, the photographs, the documents, and say, you know, or issue the cease and desist on those areas.
I think we need to cease and desist on the front part. We already gave him.
Well, in the backside of the wetland too, where we worked in the buffer zone.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's going down Road C, but we made snaked in Road B. We're
Yeah,
not
but on
gonna-
the backside of Road B, he went down all the way to the wetland there too.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Give him a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Down to the crossing.
Well, is that an agreement that we should?
I thought he was just going in there to take out the trees where he's putting
House lots.
house lots.
Yeah. I think it was an oversight, to be honest with you, but he's still responsible for that oversight.
Yeah, and I
If he
think if
didn't
we
leave
don't
proper
put it in
management-
writing, then we're not following our policy,
Right.
you know, at this point.
So let's, we don't need to vote on that, do we? Or do we?
What normally, I think it would be better if you voted on it now, because
Right.
otherwise I have to put it on
Maybe we
for
should-
ratifying
Maybe
it.
we should watch the video of the last meeting and see what we,
I remember distinctly what we said. We said, you can't go in that area. And that's why he was going around the back, because he
That's
couldn't
right.
go through that
That's the
area.
whole reason why he
Right.
brought that up, was because he knew.
Well, I mean, I asked Alan. Alan was at the meeting, and Alan didn't think they were working in that area
Yeah.
either.
I'm sure it was an oversight,
yeah.
but he still has that responsibility.
that's a huge oversight.
So I make a motion that we send a cease and desist order on work within the order. And that we ask him to get in touch with Carol as soon as possible.
Through his representative.
Through his representative. Yeah, through his representative, to explain what happened. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I wonder whether, when we restrict the work that can be done in a certain area, at least by time,
Well, can I
it should be
start?
marked.
Well, can I make those recommendations in the cease and desist, you
Yes.
know, along, you know, so what we typically do is we write sort of the facts, you know,
Mhm.
what we found, and then, you know, that the work is being, you know, that we're being stopping the work and the violations that have occurred.
Mhm.
And then, you know, what other conditions that we want to be implemented. So the erosion control stuff that we talked about, and the signing, and the, you know. And I can send it out to you before I send it out, if you want, but I'll try to get it out before he's
I
back.
feel confident that you'll do the
Okay.
right thing, and I'd rather get it out sooner than later,
Yeah.
because you can send a copy to Alan.
Yes.
So, when he came in and he talked about doing this work, there was no plan. He had
No.
no plan. He had nothing.
Right,
And we said, okay.
right.
Which work?
But we should have made him show us the plan.
Right.
What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? He didn't want to be bothered.
Well, he didn't want to be bothered, and he had the right to go in the open
But
space.
even though he had the right to go into open space, does that mean he did not need a plan to do it?
Yes.
He didn't need to show restoration or anything like that?
Correct.
He had the right to go in and do the
His-
clearing that we thought he was clearing, not to go in and go further than that.
Right, it has nothing to do with going through
Well, yeah, those are
open
two separate
space.
issues. One is going through the open
The
space,
problem
and the
is
other one's
in
doing
the
the work in the
resource
resource
area,
area.
which is different, where the crossing is.
I think we should have made him show us on a plan, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it?
I don't disagree with you, but
Because maybe.
push come to shove, there was nothing that required him to show it on a plan. The conservation restriction does require him to restore areas. And so, you know, they were.
And then why can't he show a restoration plan for that? Why
Because he
can't
wanted
make
it done then, he wanted to be able to start work.
I don't think this
But
is...
I'm thinking if we had forced him to do it, put it down on paper, then maybe there wouldn't have been this disconnect in the field.
I think there still
Yes.
would have been.
It's
I
a-
really
But
do.
maybe
It's
there would have been a
unrelated.
better chance.
It's an unrelated area to where he would have had a plan for. And if there was a miscommunication, it's because somebody didn't bother to look at any plans, no matter what plans there were.
I think
I-
he should have documented this work that he was going to do.
I agree.
And
I
we
think he should
didn't, we didn't make him do it, and now it's a mess.
I still wonder about marking the area itself. I mean, we frequently ask people to mark or delineate where a wetland begins, so nobody is going to start cutting, mowing it, or
Right.
something like that. When we say, gee, until the dry season, you can't work here.
And maybe we want
Well, I-
to, you're going to put that, you want it to mark where it is if they
Well,
can't
he
go
had
in.
said he was going to take the tops off, he just wasn't going to rub it yet.
It's fine if he's
Not-
there.
We said
Not
you
now.
couldn't go in. We said you couldn't go in at the end of the meeting.
Right. Now, it's fine if he's there, but if he isn't there and somebody says, well, I can't work over there, let me look for another place to work.
But,
They don't know they're not
but
supposed
Jim,
to
the
work
other
there.
thing is that I didn't ask the guy when he did the other side of the road. I mean, he may have done that while Andy was there. You know, I don't know that. for a
I
fact.
actually think it was, I think it's an oversight, but an oversight doesn't forgive what happened. It's just a different reason why it happened. I don't think it was intentional, because, but what happened is not, is that there was no one managing these people. Carol told me that she asked the guy, what are you doing working in here? And he says, I'm outside the blue ribbons, which is the actual, the wetlands. He didn't know about the upland aura. And so that means that people were sent there that didn't know what they were doing, and they were sent by a subcontractor, not directly by Andy. He hired someone to do this. And that's a problem.
I think he hired them to do it, to be honest, but,
I thought they were working with this guy DiPetro or something.
look,
DiPetro?
Look, yeah, but he was the one who was there yesterday doing the work, and, I asked him, anyway, I can't exactly say who would have said what, but my point just to Jim, just made me think about it, is that they had already cleared the other side, of the wetland, probably a long time before I saw this, and Andy's only been gone, I don't know when he left, like last Friday, he contacted
Well, the other
Erica.
side,
Yeah,
the other side.
yeah.
Well,
So I totally agree with Maria, we probably should have had it marked on the plan, even if he sketched it. I mean,
Right.
he used his fingers a little bit, but we didn't get anything,
No.
you know,
We got
and
nothing and we got an attitude.
and that's why I wasn't 100% sure when I said it to the guy yesterday. I was like, I don't think you were supposed to be in this area. I don't think we were allowed any work in this area. That was what we had said.
Laura's
we
going to
didn't-
watch the video, because I don't think I could watch it again.
So there's.
Is it on demand? Is it on
When was
demand?
that? It was before I went on vacation, right?
It was, yeah, we
It
were
was
in
the
the
25th?
Public Safety Center. So it was
The 15th or something like that. I get it
March
right here.
25.
Yeah, March
So
25th.
there's two
Let's
parts
go
to
and get
this. One is the
Go back and
information
get
is not a plan.
Well, we can go
And
back
two,
and get it.
there's nobody at the
Yeah,
site
at the
that
end.
knows what the plan
Yeah, I
is.
haven't done it in a
Yeah.
while.
So anyway,
I'm just looking at the minutes, the notes.
yeah,
We talked, the whole beginning of the meeting, we talked all about the access from the backside. That's what we were talking about. And then, we talked about whether you could use wood chips, always got experienced builders, always, create. Then come July 1, going to build a wetland crossing.
mhm.
If you go over the space, you need to go as an escrow, we talked about that. Then we talked about that for a long time. Then we talked about Bob showing what trees are gonna be cut. No cutting until the money was submitted and the photographs were submitted. There's station markers. I mean, I don't see anything about talking about the wetland area.
No, this was just to get, so you didn't have to go through it, because we didn't allow them. Anyway, I'm going to make a motion, we close the meeting.
Oh, just one more question. So about the open space there, I don't suppose there's been any more movement on, getting it deeded to the town?
I can't remember from when we last met this group. I had met with Erica, Town
Yeah.
Council, Alan, and Al Ferry. Had I reported on that?
Yes.
I don't remember now. I don't,
Al had made some suggestions, one being that if the town was willing to enter into a memorandum of agreement, that they would maintain the drainage.
oh, the trust, okay.
That the trust would be willing to take that land, even though it had the drainage on
Mhm.
it. And Alan was, so Al Ferry was supposed to talk to the selectmen to find out about that, and I haven't heard back whether they were willing to do that or not, or if they have to do that in a meeting, or whatever. Alan, Judy Pickett was gonna help Alan with some language, I think, for the trail easement. So he was gonna start to get the trail easements done. And there was progress, that was some progress.
Okay.
But it needs to be followed up.
Now you can second.
I'm second.
All in favor, close of the meeting?
Yep.
We're done. Good night, everyone.